really bad. And or Watership Down even. And then I finally, like, my mother, I believe I was probably 11 or 12 years old. She was just fed up. She was like, "Can you pick a fucking instrument? You know, like you destroyed your trumpet." Like I dented it all up because I didn't want to play it. And she was like, "You don't even look at your snare." Like I tried everything in the school band, And finally she was like, "What do you want? What do you want to play?" And at the time I was really into like Nirvana, Bleach, and all these all these things. And I was like, "Just give me a guitar." And she's like, "I can't afford a guitar. Something through the school program." And I was like, "Wait a minute." I was like, I don't want to play a clarinet." I was like, "I don't think that's very cool." So my grandfather actually took me to a place called Chappie's Music in Pascagoula, Mississippi. It was like the weirdest, like it was strange. It was a music store in like the 1980. No, it would have been 91, 92 or something like that. Maybe 90. He took me in this room and it was just like acoustics on the wall. And I was like, this isn't what rock people play, but that was what I got to choose from. It was like an acoustic shop basically. And I grabbed I had a really good taste. I grabbed an Espanola, Korean made acoustic because it was black. And I was like, this would do. It's black. Black sounds good. I'm a rocker.
Of course.
And I still have the guitar, believe it or not, to this day. But it just all started there. And then, so to meet Chad, that's the backstory, right? My family wanted me into music because I was having a hard time with my father's murder and everything. And they just wanted me to like get into something that wasn't running the streets or, going crazy. So I start playing guitar and I end up in a fight with my mom about something. I was probably like 13 years old. Life was really like disrupted from my father's murder. And she was like, "I don't care what you do. Figure out what you're going to do." I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to be around people. I was really introverted and like everybody was worried about me. And I put on like a good face to my grandparents and everything. So they were like, "He's fine." And I was like, this act is working. So I would go home though, and then like my world would fall apart. I was really like a mean kid, had holes in my walls. I know Chad remembers all this. Like I didn't even have walls in my room. Like I had so much anger in me. And finally my mom was just like, "Get the fuck out." Right? She's like, "Go, whatever you want to do, go." And I said, "Fine." So I was friends with a guy named Jay Holland. And I he worked at a muffler shop, believe it or not, Mr. B's muffler shop. And he goes, "Yeah, you just come hang out here. You can stay." He had a little studio apartment next to the muffler shop. Right. So here I am living with this guy in a muffler shop, like the ripe old age of 13 or 14 years old. And I thought life was great. Like these guys are smoking weed. I'm like, wow, I'm an adult now.
I'm an actual rocker now.
Yeah. I'm an actual rock star sleeping on the floor. Well, then like, all of a sudden, one day, Chad brought his car in. He had a Thunderbird Turbo Coupe, and he brought it in to get some exhaust put on it. And we're standing outside, and he's like waiting for the exhaust to get done. I remember vividly, he was like chain smoking Marlboro menthol lights, and I was like, "This dude's awesome." And he looked like a cop. He was just out of the Navy. He had this like cop haircut and like cop clothes. He looked so perfect. Like he looked like he was printed, And I was like, "This guy's a cop," and we had weed in here, I was freaking out. So I like first words I ever said to Chad, I was standing next to him. I go, "Are you a cop?" That's all I asked him. And he goes, "What?" I said, "Are you a cop? You look like a cop." And he's like, "I'm not a cop." I was like, "Oh yeah?" And he's like, "Yeah." So eventually he and Jay decided, hey, let's smoke some weed or something while he was on his break. I believe at the time, Chad, you were working at AutoZone, yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, let's smoke some weed." So we go in our room and we had like a drum set up because we had this band called Liquid Core that was really like what I was doing at the time. And it was really, it was just grunge rock. I mean, it's all it was. It was terrible. And not that grunge is terrible. We were terrible. And I was like, Chad goes, "Oh, there's a drum kit in here." And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I play drums." I was like, "Sure you do, cop." Like whatever. You're trying to infiltrate, And he's like, "No, I played drums for a long time." And I was like, "What, do you have a kit?" And he's like, "Not here. Like in Pennsylvania, I have a kit." And I'm like, "This is all a big lie."
Like 4 years.
Yeah, he hadn't played in a long time. And he goes, "Do you mind if I play him?" At the time, there was a guy named Zane, which is a great name. This is a cool story. He was playing drums for us, right? And I was like, "Man, you can't get on Zane's kit. He'd get really mad, like he's real particular. You can't be moving nothing, And Chad's like, "Look, I'll be really careful." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So here we are, like high as a kite. Chad sits down on these drums and just blows my mind. Like just instant Chad Kent, like just dude, he was like, yeah, he was gonna like, I was afraid he was gonna break the kit. Number two. Number one, he was amazing. Number two, I was like, this pearl kit gonna fall apart, right? I'd never seen him play drums like that. And he stopped and I go, "You're in our band." And he's like, "What?" I was like, "You are in our band now. We need you as a drummer." And we played as Liquid Core for a little while, and then Jay had some personal issues where he started selling our stuff, I think.
Oh, shit.
and Chad and I were like, "Wait, this ain't gonna work, bro. Like, we can't have our guitarist," because I was playing. It was weird. I think we were 2 guitarists and a drummer at the time, and our biggest claim to fame, I think we came in second at the Floribama talent show. That was Liquid Core's height. And
we had to pay to play.
Yeah, we had to pay. We had to pay like $50 to be in the thing, and like we got second. I was like, well, no, that's success. I think this is success. And it was all country bands but us. We played. The people looked at us like we were fucking aliens. Like, it was crazy. Like, they were just like, what is going on right here? Everybody else was country, or it was like, the mayor's daughter of this small Alabama town. Like, oh, Laura Lynn gonna get up there and play that song about the sun. Like, it was just ridiculous. And here we get up there, and I'm just like holding my breath. I'm like, this is gonna be dumb. Like, we are gonna get booed off this stage. We shredded. Like, we tore that place up. And then they all, like, after the songs, everybody was just like, mouths were open. Like, what did we just watch? Second place, huge success. Went home heroes. And shortly after that, we parted ways with Jay, and we ended up getting a storage unit, if I remember correctly. Chad and I were like, well, let's just play in a storage unit together. Bass, and I was getting into bass at the time, and we'd play guitar, bass, and drums. And it was just he and I, and we'd write these tracks that we didn't know what they were at the time. Later on, one becomes Pencil Fight, one becomes Day of Days. We just don't know what they are in the moment. Well, there was a band behind us, NIM, National Institute of Mental Health. Yeah, NIM. And Nathan Slade was playing guitar in NIM. And they split up. They had this big fight, and Chad and I are like, we got our ears to the wall. Like, we're like, hell yeah, listen to them fight. Like, we thought it was fun. It was drama. It was like Knots Landing, but better. And so we're like sitting there listening, and like Nathan quits, loads of shit in his truck, and Chad and I run out and flag him down. Like, hey,
wait.
Yeah. Wait, don't leave. Just move into our storage unit. Like, just come right in here. They won't be mad.
Yeah, but you remember, before all this, though, Nate came by one night, and he said something about my drumming was too spastic.
Yeah, dude, it was funny. They would not let us in. Like, we wanted to go watch them practice, and I remember Chad and I came over, and they had the door open, and Chad and I are standing out there listening to him, and Nathan's stupid ass slams the door down in our faces, like, it's a roll-up door, and he looks at us like, the hell are y'all fucking losers doing here, And he like slams the door down, and Chad and I are just like, well, I guess we can listen from out here. Like, it was such a prick move. But at the time, in their defense, they were pretty well known as far as the coast went down here. They were the rock band. Like, there was no better than NIM. Like, NIM was winning all the talent shows. They were getting all the radio sponsorships. They were doing really well. And they just didn't keep it together. I think, what was the singer's name? His name was Derek as well, but I don't remember his last name. I don't want to slander him anyway. He ended up with a lot of drugs and stuff going on. And I remember almost everyone in that band. It was Nathan, Duffy, Derek, and one other guy. I don't know who the drummer was. Who cares?
Wasn't he?
Yeah, Duffy was bass. Anyway, they split up, and we were like, yo, play with us. And you could tell he was like, boy, I fucked, here we are now. These nerds want to play with me. Because Chad and I Chad's straight out of the Navy. He looks like a cop. I'm 14 years old, like a 14-year-old kid. This would be fun, like just squeaker. I'm like, it's a great idea. We can all be a band. And I don't know. Nathan probably just didn't want to take his stuff all the way home, was why he agreed. He was probably just like, yeah, whatever, I'll throw in here for the night and then, get back with my band later. And we ended up getting together and just like, it just clicked. It really, I know that people say this all the time, like, well, we just got together and it clicked. And like, everybody's like, yeah, right. There has to be. Yeah, that's probably the tape from the storage unit. Is that from the storage unit?
Recording ever of us.
Really?
Right there.
Yeah, Joe's going to ask you for a copy of that.
Can I get a copy of that?
Every day for the next 5 years. Yeah.
Chad, you still have the tapes from the storage unit?
I still have them. Yeah,
dude,
I got more than this one too.
Oh, awesome.
Got to digitize that, man, before it goes, before it stops working.
Before you wave it over a magnet.
Yeah.
First recording.
Yeah, Watership Down, first recording. Yeah, Chad's got the recording, so it, there's the real life. But we we just stayed in there like hermits. I mean, it was every day. They'd get off work. Nathan was working banquet, I think, at a casino, and Chad was at AutoZone, and they'd get off work, and I would wake up, and we would like get together, and we would jam until probably 2-3 in the morning every single night. They'd go to bed and go back to work the next morning. I don't know how they did it. I mean, these guys, Chad and Nathan both, like, must have been living off of like 4 hours of sleep for a year, like really. And that's how it all kind of came together. I mean, that's the whole scoop. I don't know anybody has the collective entire scoop, but
yeah, now I don't have to ask you how.
I mean, we played so.
Yeah, I'm a pretty good storyteller. Yeah, I'll talk.
Yeah, I developed bursitis. We were playing so much in my shoulder, and I had to see a specialist, and I had to quit playing for I think it was 2 months. So in 2 months, you guys, you and Nate worked together on acoustic stuff.
Yeah. I think Chad ended up with bursitis. His shoulder was inflamed really bad. He could hardly play. And I said, just pull your skirt over your head and keep playing. And he's like, I can't. I have to. No, it wasn't that bad. It was bad though, and you could tell he was in a lot of pain. So we said, okay, take
my arm around that.
Yeah, it was bad. And I said, you know what, Chad? I said, take the time you need, whatever your doctor says or whatever. And Nathan and I would just keep writing. So we went to, we left the storage unit. I mean, our stuff was still there, but we ended up spending a lot of time at Nathan's house. And his wife, Marlene, was real happy with that. We woke her up every freaking night. She was going to school to be a nurse, and we were just in there being loud. And that's where we wrote like Darks of Mississippi, I think came out of that session with Nathan and I waiting on Chad to get better. And a couple, like we polished up the stuff we'd already worked on. We kind of framed out Pencil Fight a little more. I remember that. We came back with a better, a bridge, kind of, because then we went to the Butcher of Orleans, which is really funny, to change everything. Dave Fortman, that guy, like everything changed. Those original recordings that Chad has was like what we thought was perfect music at the time. I really want to hear those, Chad. It's been too long, but
yeah, I want to hear those too.
Yeah, I'll digitize them.
Can I come to your house, Derek? And
yeah, exactly. We'll go through.
We can just have a listening party.
Yeah, that's it. We'll just do a listening party on here. I'll line it in through my.
We can do that actually.
I will send you more PayPal money on Bandcamp. Just make that shit available.
Yeah, we'll digitize it for sure because no one has those. I mean, that's weird because that's back before Day of Days didn't have a bridge. It had a really long like Nathan inspired Pink Floyd intro with like a lot of instrumentation and
intro
like
2
minutes long on the intro of that. We used to open with that, and I remember one of the first things Dave Fortman, because we took basically that tape or a recording from a show. I don't remember when Dave Fortman ended up doing our pre-production, and we went to Covington. He was like, what in the hell is this? I was like, what? That's the intro. And he goes, your intro's longer than the song. And I was like, yeah, but it's 3 minutes, right? I mean, that's we did that right, no? And he's like, no. So that's where he got the nickname Butcher of Orleans. He changed everything really. Not changed. We didn't have to like change the sound.
Look, it remained almost exactly the same as we wrote it. It was almost exactly the same.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the songs stayed the same. The parts themselves didn't change. Your verse is the same. Your chorus is the same. Some songs, I was a kid. I mean, I didn't even know a bridge. I didn't know what a bridge was before we went to the studio. I was like, what's a bridge? Like, what? I have to write.
Drive over?
Yeah. So I crossed the bridge on my way here. Like, I have to write one of those for each song. How weird is that? Like I don't have, it was just so strange to me. It was so like, what is this structure? What are you talking about? Because here I was. I mean, like, God, I got the guitar when I was like 12, I think, and I'm 15 in a studio with management through KVS Management, and like, here's the guy that just did Evanescence in front of me, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm gonna be honest with you. I felt pretty out of place. I was like, I do not know what music is. Apparently, I thought I did, but then I didn't. So.
How many ways can I tell you that you're wrong and you actually did know what music was?
Yeah. I guess now I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'll give myself a touch of credit, just a smidge, and go from there. But I was just having fun, and I think what the important part was of Atomship back in the storage unit is that we had this mentality, and I know Chad will agree, that we wanted to be the best band on the coast, which was the weirdest thing. We were like, let's be the best band on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. That was our goal, right? Shoot for the stars, right? We were like, this is it. This is it. If we can be the best band on the coast, we'll all be happy. And what ended up happening was, excuse me, we ended up being the best band on the coast, I think. just short of what, we had a few people that didn't like us. They really were bands down here that just hated us. I remember being told I sounded, maybe jealous, but, Chad overplays. Nathan's not playing with the band. Derek sounds like a squeaky wheel. I mean, I heard it all, man. Like, there were a lot of people that were just like, but we knew we made it when Chad can say the same quote, I'm sure, when the reward for winning the WCPR FM talent show was to open for us. That was the reward. And I'm thinking, awesome. Hey, this is a far jump from second place at Floribama, like we've really come somewhere. So yeah, it was good times, man. It was just, it was better times in music, I think, honestly. More fun. I don't know what's going on these days.
Derek might not admit to it, but he's been of legendary status long before we ever inked a deal with the record label anyway. I mean, locally anyway, he was already a legend.
Yeah, well, I was infamous for sure. But I was, so when I mentioned that I used to like do dumb stuff like punch holes in my walls and things like that. Like I didn't have an outlet for my anger. And then all of a sudden I had I think it was a Gateway 2000 computer and like local forums for the radio station and for everything. And boy, it got bad because I didn't pull any punches. Like these bands would be like, check out our track, and I didn't realize we were anything. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was delusional. I was like, nobody cares what we think. Right. So I would get on there and I would say like, oh, this is trash, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I was so mean. I was just like, what is this? Y'all ain't even in time. I was just like honest and young and just ridiculous.
Oh,
like,
I got started.
Yeah. There was no like constructive criticism. I was just if there were people that were good, I would say, hey, this is great. You guys are fantastic. But if it was bad, I wasn't the guy that didn't comment. Right. Which is, it's unfortunate. I could have been a lot nicer, but I was definitely the guy that was like, what is this garbage? Like, this is garbage. This is trash. What are y'all like? Just 3 doors down 2? Like, what is this trash? So like,
fuck.
It was just a big. But at the time, the funny part is that Chris Henderson from 3 Doors Down, they were from Hurley, which is where Nathan was from. Nathan was friends with all of them, and you would think, oh, that's how Watership Down broke into the industry, but it wasn't. We did pre-production with Chris Henderson from 3 Doors Down first. And nobody liked it. Like nobody. Our management, Kenny was like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like he wouldn't say it at the time to like Chris. Then I don't know if Chris will ever hear this, but it's funny because we loved it. We were like, Chris is doing a great job. We gave it to Kenny, and Kenny is like, basically like, throw this in the fucking garbage. You're going to Louisiana to Dave Fortman. And I was like, who? I didn't know who he was. So the guitarist for Ugly Kid Joe, that's all I knew. Right. And I knew I Hate Everything About You. I heard that a bunch when I was a kid riding on like Nash skateboards, Yeah. That's what got us there. So so Chris was 3 Doors Down helped a little bit by, doing that, but we weren't really connected with them. And a lot of people are like, oh, they got you signed or whatever. It's like, have you listened to their music and our music? Like they didn't even like us. Like Brad doesn't like us. I know.
You think people just didn't get it? I think, because like from my perspective, I didn't hear the band until probably years after the band was no longer like an active thing.
Yeah.
And so,
You're welcome.
I remember Joe coming to my house. He's like, oh my God, I got this CD. It's called The Crash 47. You need to listen to it. Check it out. And I remember thinking it sounded really, really modern for the time we were listening to it, which I think would have been like what, 07, 08, sometime around there, just hearing it for the first time. And it's sounding more modern to now versus when it came out.
Yeah. When I compare that album, even to stuff I hear today, and I'm not trying to be vain or whatever, but like Chad's playing the instrumentation really, like I won't even comment on the lyrics or anything as far as what I think on that, but the music itself, still compared to some of the newer bands I hear coming out today, it's like, this is still kind of ahead. I may feel old because I've heard it so many times or whatever, but the music itself is like, still feels, it's almost like we created something timeless. I'm really proud of that because it still feels like this is outside of the time now. This is something that in my opinion, will live far beyond me or anybody really, because it's just one of those deals. As long as people can find it, people consistently like it, you know. And I was really proud of that. That's a big deal to me, you know, that people would like it, you know, outside of the Floribama.
Well, yeah, like what I said in my email, you know, like we've been listening to it consistently ever since then. And it's funny because like on our show, a lot of the stuff that we cover is like really extreme, screamy, growly music. And yet I still put that record up next to a lot of those bands because, yeah, sure, it's not screamy, growly music, but it's just as heavy, if not heavier than almost everything else that I've heard. It's so visceral in a way, even though it sounds clean, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we worked really hard, I think, early on, before production, before anything. We all wanted something different, and we all wanted to appease the other person. This is why we work so well as a team. Like, I wanted the heavy, and Chad did as well. We agreed on some things. We wanted that heavy chorus, like big, you know, Nathan was into that too. But then there was this part of me that was like, I want the verses to sound like melodic and laid back and like spacey and strange, you know. And then, you know, it wasn't always I don't know that they were always happy with me as far as like what I wanted, but it was one of those things like Nathan would kind of go, okay, then we'll do it like Pink Floyd. I like Pink Floyd or whatever. Like there was this weird, and I would be like, no, do it like Led Zeppelin. Like, cause that's all I knew was like Led Zeppelin and the Beatles and Nirvana, you know? And he was like, what's the difference? But the deal was that we always had this kind of like discussion within the group. And we always had like a democracy where two people could vote somebody out. You know, there were definitely bridges and pieces of vocal that didn't make it because I got outvoted, you know, and there was definitely cool riffs Chad had that Nathan and I were just like, it's too much, and it got outvoted. And more times than not, I'll be honest with you, it was Chad and I like just hammering Nathan, poor guy. I mean, we were always just like, no, you can do it better than this. You know, this has got to be different. Like, that doesn't sound good at all. And like, Nathan was probably the most frustrated one out of all of us because Chad and I were so picky, but we never had like a replacement idea. Like, it was the worst ever. Like, don't do that. And he goes, what would you rather we do? I don't know. Whatever, you know, something different, you know. But through that process of trying to please everyone, you know, we wanted Nathan to get his like heavy riffs in, and I wanted Chad to be able to be Chad. I didn't want to take away from Chad. And then as far as my vocals and my bass, I had to keep the bass as simple as possible because I had to sing at the same time, right? And I'm not Sting, and I'm sitting here like, I don't know how I'm going to pull this off, you know. But through the simple bass lines that followed Chad and with Nathan's creations on guitar, I mean, we really were able to create something that, getting back to the point of this whole talk, that I feel like, in my opinion, like I'm most proud of, absolutely most proud of. And I've done a lot of stuff. So this is one that I'm just like, yay, we did something good.
You've done some great stuff, man. Just you specifically. I've been chasing your solo stuff for a long time, and only recently found that not only is it on Bandcamp, but there are multiple Derek Pardoe uploads on Bandcamp in more than one account. So
yeah, well, here's what I
have 2 PayPal transactions from me. Who knows?
No. Honestly, I only have one that I control. I think what happened is somebody made one for me, and like any music that they could steal or whatever they threw on there, and they're making money off of me. More power to them. But I saw that too. I was like, who the hell is this? Like, maybe I made it years ago. Maybe I didn't. I don't remember. But I have this kind of like, I have this really bad habit of right now, honest to God, guys, I have like 3 hard drives packed full of music, right? And I've released maybe 20 songs in the past 5 years or something like it's crazy. Like, I have so much music recorded, and I just don't. I'll give like CDs to friends, like, hey, check this out, a CD. I mean, it used to be a CD, but now I'll be like, you know, hey, download this, check it out. Or I try to send links to people like, hey, what do you think of this track? You know, my listener base is like 3 people that I know, and they're like, it's cool. Like, everyone's over it. You know what I mean? Like, no one's inspiring. They're like, it's cool.
I'm not over it. I want to be the first one to say I'm not over it.
But I really do enjoy writing, and I think I always will. It's kind of like a journal. That's what I tried to tell people when they're like, well, how do you write? What are you writing about or whatever? And it's like, if you listen to my songs, like, it's then what I put down, it's basically a journal of my life. That's it. Like, it'll be about my day or about an event in my life, and that's it. Like, all of them, So even the Atomship album, that's a journal, very journalistic writing. But all true stories, like pencil fighting at school is true, getting in trouble at school. That wasn't just about pencil fighting. It's such a dumbed down idea, but it was about not doing well in school at all, about being constantly in detention or, in school isolation, and not because I was bad. I didn't fight. I didn't start trouble. I just wouldn't do my work. And they were so frustrated with me. They didn't know what to do. And they were like, will you do your homework? And I'm like, no, probably not. And they would get irritated. They'd send me to the office. And then what's really funny is my house in Ocean Springs right now is across the street from my principal. I see him like every day. And I'm like, hey, but he's like, hey, remember me? He's like, yeah, I remember. But no, he's a nice guy. But I just remember them being so frustrated with me because I just wouldn't do it. And I think what it came down to is I was bored with it. I didn't really like school at all. I was always thinking music. I was always thinking, about anything but school. And they got so frustrated that finally they just started like, I think in my 11th grade year, they put me in in-school isolation like the day I got there. They were like, you're going to go learn basically in the alternative school. And I was like, oh, so I got a record. You know about me, right? So they put me in this alternative learning, and I was like, I hated it. I mean, not to be rude, but I was with all the weird kids, like the ones that you held your breath around. That sounds rude, sure. But you know what I mean? Like these kids that were just either violent and couldn't be around people. They wouldn't socialize, or they were disabled or whatever. And I remember just hanging out with like this girl named Tamber Miller and playing chess in this alternative school and just feeling like this sucks. Right. So eventually I just stopped going. I got over that real quick. I was like, you know what? School is for losers. Now, looking back, I probably should have finished school, but I didn't. And I said, I'll just do music. I mean, really, I'm not even, and that's the thing. People are like, man, you've done so well. Cause I've done businesses after music. Had a commercial irrigation company for years. And right now I'm actually starting a cannabis cultivation company in the state of Mississippi to start being a part of this huge change. They've made cannabis legal here. And I was just like, well, it will be on August 15th, but not doing it now, just not doing anything. But
you're good. You said you're in the planning stages. That's
planning
fine.
Stage. There we go.
It's allowed.
Yeah. Cops, come and try to. I'm kidding.
Yeah, Chad's scribbling down a whole bunch of notes right now. It's
exactly. Chad's like, I'm gonna write this stuff down. But I ended up doing really well, and people are like, "What college you go to?" and this and that. And I always find it so funny. I'm like, man, I dropped out of fucking high school. I didn't have time. I didn't do school. I don't, So I'm probably not as good as algebra as you guys, but I make up for it in other ways, I think.
I don't think I passed algebra.
You didn't.
You didn't.
No, I mean, I had the same problem. That's the weird thing about school too. Not to make this whole conversation about that, but like, they only had one way to discipline people.
Yep.
Back in the day, it was like if you're getting violent, you get sent to this place. If you have a learning disability, you get sent to this place. If you don't do your work, you get sent to this place.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You're
like
right.
they didn't address anybody's individual problems. They just, all right, just throw them in the garbage. It's not working out.
It's so funny looking back at school now. I think of it and I'm like, it was basically a big game of memory. Yep. They would say, this is when Columbus came over. Here's a piece of paper. Tell me when Columbus came over. And I was like, am I really learning? I feel like I'm just remembering what you're telling me. I don't feel like I'm learning or creating anything or like being productive as a human. I'm just remembering what you tell me. Outside of mathematical equations and stuff and learning, how to equate and stuff like that. Yeah, that's learning something. But I felt like the majority of school was like, I'll show you, and then you show me that you watched how I showed you. And right, I was like, I don't feel like I'm learning to do anything here. I'm just like a part of your game, So I revolted pretty bad in school, And my grandfather went to Yale. He was super smart, he's a genius. And here I am in school. I'm just like, this is dumb, South Mississippi. but I don't know. I'm with you. I think school is so, not to make it all about school, but I feel like school holds a lot of kids back. I think there's some absolute geniuses that do bad in school because of the formatting and because of the, how they've outlined what success is in school. If you can remember this, you're smart. And if you can't, you're not. I'm like, that makes no sense whatsoever.
They tell you things. They don't teach you how to think.
Exactly. And that's like Albert Einstein said, judge a fish by how he can climb a tree. and you'll never find a smart fish or something like that.
Right. Yep.
So, what's up, Chad? What were you saying?
I was just going to say, man, it's like you might not have finished school, but you're one of the most intelligent people that I've ever met.
Yeah, that lag came at a perfect time too. The way it goes, you're one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. No, I mean, I feel like intelligence is learned as well as cultivated in people, and I was blessed. My grandfather was a fantastic engineer, and so I was around intelligence a lot, and I think that music makes you more intelligent. I think that creating stuff makes you a more intelligent person, and then working with Chad and Nathan in the band, that was my social studies, so to speak. That's like, but not social studies like what happened in Mississippi in 1820, but social studies like this is how I learned to like interact with people and become like my own person, So I just found a way to do it outside of school, But maybe one day I'll get my GED. I'll be one of those like 70-year-old men that's like, I'm going to college. Probably not.
You'll be Chevy Chase's character in Community.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't fit in those kids these days, but that's it. I don't know where the hell we are on topic. This is gonna be a hell of an edit for you. This is gonna be a hell of an edit.
No, it's fine. This is all solid gold. I just texted Joe after you started talking. I was like, this is the easiest episode ever. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to think of creative questions. I'm good.
That's why they love me.
Yeah.
That's why the industry loved me. I was always so entertained.
That's why you're getting hit up for podcasts every single day, right? Like
I actually,
talk to us for 3 hours.
Believe it or not, I actually get a lot of people that message me about podcasts or vlogs and stuff. They want to do stuff with me, and I ignore it. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Typically, I'm like, yeah, you and everybody else. But like, I don't know. It was just like I got your email, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, I don't know. I just wasn't. Caught me at a good day. I guess it was good timing. Everything happens for a reason, right? And I was like. It's a tough one. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I send out so many emails it's funny. People are always like, man, I can't believe you got so-and-so, on your podcast. And I'm like, oh, you should see all the people that didn't respond, it's just one of those things. But like, I like to have a casual conversation. I don't ever want anybody to think that like, this is going to be some sort of like, You're going to be changed as a person after you you listen to it.
No, it doesn't. I actually enjoy this more than I would. We used to go on radio stations and stuff, and it was just so like scripted. And all right, here's where you guys are going to sit, and these are the 2 songs you're going to play. And Chad, you're going to play on this cajon. And I was like, what is this garbage? You know what I mean? Like, we got to play an acoustic version of Day of Days on a homegrown show somewhere. I was like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever done in my life. So like, I like just sitting back and having conversations, and being like,
my mind is blown for the moment. Chad Kent playing a cajon.
Oh yeah.
How many cajones does he need? 7?
Yeah. You should hear him. You should hear him on one. He's good. I remember Chad. I used to always want to record this, and if he would have just done it for me, we'd already be like YouTube super rich. I'd have like a Bugatti and everything. But he used to play like. Chad used to smoke weed a lot. Chad, I'm sorry, I'm diming you out. He used to smoke a lot of weed. And he would just get stoned to the bone and get some pencils and put a bunch of stuff on a table and play drums. Like it was like a hobby of his. I probably did it as a kid and it just carried on. And I mean, he would have everything like water bottles at different, water levels and like aluminum, some scrap shit he found, and there's like, cups and shit. And he would play the coolest shit I ever heard in my life on a coffee table with just stuff on the table. And I was like, we got to record this. And then YouTube came along and I thought, man, if I had this recorded, like, where would we be now? We'd be what are the judges on America's Got Talent or something? Like, we'd be up there at this point, No, it was just really phenomenal.
Jay broke that glass table.
Broke the glass table.
Remember when Jay broke that glass table and I was trying to jam on it?
No, but I believe you. But tell me the story.
That was Mr. B's, yeah. He tried to open up remember he was so big on those flip knives. And he tried to flip that thing open when I was jamming on it, and it broke the glass table.
I do remember that. Jay thought he was the coolest guy in the world if he could just sling a knife open. I was like, just get a switchblade. This is lazy switchblading right here. But he like swung it open and hit this table and just shattered all over Chad. It was hilarious. Best ending ever. But it was one of those things. Yeah, I do remember that, Chad, now that you mention it. He's such a dork. We were all kind of dorks, really. But no, I mean, it's as far as that's kind of like the essence of us. I mean, we were just these. I always believed too. My mother would tell me when I was young, if you don't know anybody in the industry, you're never going to do anything in music. Like you need to go to school. It's all about who you know in the industry. And I still hear that today. And it just kind of makes me laugh because I'm like, nope. I was just some kid from a very like low income household in South Mississippi. I mean, like we would come home like after my father died, it was like lights would be off on Monday and then the lights come on Tuesday, water go off on Wednesday. I mean, it was like we were definitely impoverished, and it was one of those deals where I can attest that is not the case. That is not. You do not have to know anybody to do something amazing. You know what I mean? Like you just don't.
Here's the thing about something amazing, and Dan, I'm going to need you to put my screen back up for a second.
Oh, geez.
When we got to talk to Chad in the early days of this podcast, that was like, here's the greatest drummer in the world, and we're talking to him right now. Does he have any idea how much this record matters to me? And I can only say I wish I had 100% of the writers here to say this, but I want to say it now. You guys, thank you for writing that album.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
To this day, I will tell anybody that asks, that is the greatest album ever written.
Oh, that means a lot. That actually does. I mean, the fact that Chad and I are still alive and kicking, it's kind of, I would say, let me find a good word. Pathetic that we don't still create music. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like we are really missing a lot of chances to still create.
Chad, you and your drum set are being called out.
All I gotta do is drive to Gulfport. It's kind of my fault. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to catch COVID, but yeah. I mean, we could. The thing is that when we break it down, and I'm not saying this because it's easy to lie now that Nathan's gone, but when you break down Watership Down, it really came down a lot to after Nathan and I had the writing session when Chad's shoulder was messed up. It really boiled down to Chad and I just sitting together and going, okay, I'm going to play a bass riff. Can you come up with a drum riff? And then we stuck a name on it, And what was funny is once the name was stuck on it, it just stayed. Like I think Day of Days was always named Day of Days, And then I just wrote something around that name, and it was one of those things that Chad and I came up with the stuff. Nathan and I honed it. Then we got back together and like honed it together. Like Chad and I could still to this day write an Atomship album. I have no doubt in my mind. And we should, maybe we should work on something like that other than me sitting around playing acoustic and crying about.
I'll bring my drums to you if I have to.
Yeah, well, they won't fit in the RV, so so I'll have to come there. So that's the deal. So I kind of moved to Houston. I have a house in Houston as well. And then I have a house, quote unquote, in Mississippi. And I'm back and forth with this cultivation company. So I've been living in this RV, and it's probably the nicest RV. Like it's nicer than any house I've ever lived in, which is really funny. But it was definitely been a change for me. But yeah, I mean, I could be right there in front of that drum kit. And I thought Chad and I might get together, to do this interview as one, but I didn't know how it was going to go. To be honest, I'm not familiar with StreamYard or anything, so I didn't know what we were supposed to do. I was just like, I'm going to click a link at 8:00, see what happens,
Yeah, no, you're good, man. We still had Chad's contact and all that.
Oh, okay.
So it was one of those like, like that's the thing I love about StreamYard. Not that we're sponsored by StreamYard. If you're listening, StreamYard, we'd love to be sponsored by StreamYard.
If they don't sponsor you, it'd be bad. You guys are doing great.
But no, like that makes it so simple because everybody's always like, oh, I got to sign up for Skype. What do I got to sign up for? We did the one with Chad with Skype, and it was like not as good as this one from a connection perspective. But yeah, it's actually funny when we first reached out to him back in 2017. He's like, yeah, I mean, I can just drive up and do it, or if you guys want to.
We're like, no, right.
We're like, no, it's cool, man. He's like, no, I'm looking for a good reason to drive up there.
Couch is clean.
Couch is clean.
But
Chad is the one that will always be like, where? Oh, California? Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. Like he's always been like, I just need a reason. Let me tell work I'm out of here,
Well,
and I always
get some gas and some snacks. Yeah.
It always blows my mind, like when I think, Chad's working, right? I'm like, what? Why? I mean, like, What a stupid thing to do when you're Chad Kent. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, what? Who? Like, if Chad would just Chad, I'm talking to you too. You're right here. So this is how we work. This is us together. Like, Chad should not have a 9 to 5. That is a ridiculous waste of Chad Kent, in my opinion. Like,
I agree.
I would just play drums on this. Yeah, I would just play drums on the street corner if I was him, if I had to. If I had the talent of Chad Kent on drums, you would never catch me clocking in at a job. I would just, it doesn't matter. I'd go to New Orleans and just play on the street until the cops made me leave, just collecting $80 a day or whatever. Like, because he's so talented. It's like, and Chad, I'll speak directly to you. The most talented drummer I've ever met in my life, and I've met a lot. And it's just like, no, sir, you need to focus on fucking music. But Chad does good with his drums now. I'm not gonna lie. I think what he does with his music and with his ability is like morally great. I mean, he plays at a church that he's involved in a lot and stuff like that. That's good. I just think that there's so much more to Chad that people don't even realize. Like, his talent goes way beyond the album. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. The dude is probably, in my opinion, no less than like 10 times better than what was on the album because of how he toned it back and how he was. I mean, not only wrong, his playing on the album is amazing, you know, but Chad has this ability to like freeze a room with his drumming. And I've never seen that. And I've worked with musicians in production. I've worked with other musicians personally, and I've never seen that quality in a drummer. So I've always been like, Chad, stop working. Like, go to Tennessee if you have to. Like, I remember I got a hold of Kenny Vest and was like, let's get him in studios working just so he keeps the drum thing going, you know, like, let's get him as a session drummer for people and let's get him to do something, you know. And it really just comes down, I think, honestly, I can't speak for Chad, but I think it comes down to just the logistics of being that and living a life, you know, because you can't do both. I don't think you're either Chad Kent, the drummer, or you're just Chad Kent living life, you know. And I think it's hard to balance the two in Chad's defense, since I've sat here and rode his ass for.
I'd do it.
I had another what?
That if I had another chance, I would do it.
Yeah, I mean, me too. You know, it would be different this time because I would actually not quit the band, you know. Because honestly, I mean, I'll be real. We'll talk about that a bit. I know that's going to have to be a question that comes up at some point. Dan,
I was going to say, I'm trying to decide whether or not. I was trying to decide whether or not to bring that up because I don't like to just jump into it. But I mean, what is that? Yeah, what leads to a situation like that?
Okay, so on Wikipedia it said I had a kid. That's not true. But it was weird. So what happened with me? I think we were doing really well. Everything was fine. You know, there was no problem. And from learning now what I know about me, you know how you learn about yourself the older you get? You're kind of like, oh, wait a minute. I thought that way. Like, why do I think that way? So looking back, I think it was pretty obvious to me now that I was really good at like catastrophizing everything, right? Everything was terrible. And it all stemmed, I think, from my father's murder. I'm not going to break it down too much, but like when I was a kid, I remember after my dad was murdered, I thought everybody was coming to murder my mother, right? I had this really negative, like really terrible outlook on the world. Everybody was an enemy. All strangers were bad. All new things were bad. Like I couldn't wrap my brain around this was an isolated event that affected me, but this is not the world, right? And so I didn't realize that I had this problem going into the band. I didn't realize that I had this negative thought process and this negative view on the world, that my filter was all fucked up. Not going to lie. Like the way I saw like a lady walking out of a store and a guy walking next to her, I was just like tense, like waiting for this guy to like assault her. I was just really strange in my thought process, you know?
Sure.
And it all just stemmed from like what I'd built onto. Like I'd started as, Chad's giving us the view. I started as a normal kid, I think. I mean, there wasn't anything bad. And then after that, it's like just that little thing affected me to a point where I was like not realizing it, but everything was bad. Everything was negative, right? So as I grew up, I built on that foundation, and I didn't realize I was building on that foundation until one day I just kind of broke. I mean, that's the best way to say it. We were jamming, we were playing in New Orleans and Mobile and like doing all these things. I was always nervous on stage, but I didn't think much of it because, you know, stage fright. Everybody has some degree of nervousness. Chad would be nervous. I remember when we first played the House of Blues Sold Out, we were all nervous. You know, we're like, oh my God. But the difference was they were nervous, and I was in the hotel room in a bathtub, having to get pulled out of the bathtub and stood up on stage, like, because I was like just panicking, like massive panic, And I didn't realize what had happened, and then just one day the panic just was just too much. I mean, we were supposed to fly up to New York, I think, and I was just like, I'm not going. And everybody's like, why? And I was like, I just can't do it. I'm freaking the fuck out. Like I had no coping mechanisms. I didn't even know what it was I was dealing with. I was just dying for some reason. I don't know. I was just dying. Like that's where my brain was. Like I didn't realize it was panic attacks. I didn't realize it was anxiety. I didn't realize the foundation I'd built upon or the way that I was thinking was wrong. I had this really like diluted view of the world. Like diluted, is that a good word? I had this like incorrect view of the world. And
skewed,
I thought, yeah, skewed. There we go. And I go, if I go to New York, I'm going to get up there and we're going to get stuck. I'm not going to be able to get home. I'm 15 or 16, whatever it was at the time. I'm going to get murdered in New York because people kill people in New York. Like I just had this like super negative thought. And I remember Kenny calling me and he's like, what's going on? The band tells me you're not going to New York tomorrow. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going. I'm not heading, not doing it anymore. And he was like, why? What's up? And I was like, I don't know. I couldn't answer because I really didn't know. I knew I had emotions. I just didn't really know what they were.
You can't explain it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I can't explain it. And I think a lot of people thought that I just quit because I don't know, either thought I was too good for it or what. I don't know what people thought, to be honest. I never put much thought into it. I know a lot of people were mad at me, and
the word I always saw online was anxiety.
Yeah.
And I'm talking 15 years ago, back in the Atomship Down days.
Yeah. I mean, I dealt with severe anxiety, and I don't think leaving the band was the best fucking decision I ever made, I'm gonna be honest with you, because it got worse. I mean, once you quit something because of anxiety or because of depression, it just steamrolls you, and I ended up quitting the band, like everything I dreamed of doing, everything I loved at the time. And I let Chad down, I let Nathan down, and I let Kenny down, and I let the label down, and Diana Meltzer was calling me talking about, look, we'll get you into help. It's obvious you're having some issues and we want to help you with it. And I felt like I kind of just let everybody down, but I was still young enough to be stupid about it and not own up to what I'd done at the time, stupid enough to just say, well, I just made it my
everybody.
Yeah. So after I left the band and like all the locals, like all the local fans were just like dumbfounded, just like shocked, like what do you mean Derek left? Like what is Watership Down without Derek, or what is Atomship without Derek? And to me it just seemed like avoidance was more important than anything, which is absolutely bullshit. Now if you ask me today if I regret it, yeah, a little bit, but I try not to live in regret. I think that we've done some cool things since then, but after I left, when I talk about the steamrolling, I mean it got bad, guys. Like I ended up being like severely depressed, I gained quite a bit of weight. Not even really understanding what I was avoiding or what the feelings were. I just kind of went home, built a home studio, and disappeared for 8 years. And when I mean disappeared for 8 years, I mean it. Like I didn't leave the house. I was as a doctor would call it, I was legit like chronically agoraphobic. I did not leave. If I tried to go to the store,
that was the only thing that made you leave was Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina. And I didn't even go far enough for that fucking hurricane, right? So I was I was legit dealing with like this massive struggle where it was like, if I tried to go to the store, I had a panic attack, so I'd never go to the store again. Or if I tried to go to Walmart, I have a panic attack, I'd never go to Walmart again. And I was just kind of in this situation. It was like, you know what? Fuck everything. I'm just going to stay home where I don't have panic attacks. And still, I had panic attacks. So it was like, it was kind of like, it was a useless idea at the time. But in defense of me, in South Mississippi, there wasn't like help. There wasn't like a lot of help. There wasn't a lot of people that understood it. I mean, down here, the mentality was like, well, be a man. Yeah. like, oh, great. Thanks. Yeah. I'll just wake up tomorrow and do that. Even though I had no father figure, tomorrow I'll be a man, And then, so I just ended up kind of hiding from everything. And that was really the reason I left, was anxiety. I mean, if we're going to nail it down to one thing, I just had such a terrible time dealing with my anxiety. I was not capable of coping with the meetings and the crowds and everything. It's bad enough when you're a kid with like this terrible anxiety disorder, but put him in front of 15,000 people, a guy was like, uh-oh. I was like, it was bad. I mean, there were times on stage, Chad probably didn't even know. I'd never told the band or anything. there were times on stage where I'd be singing and I was just like in a full-fledged panic attack. Felt like I was about to faint. You know, I like had all the anxiety factors. My fingers are numb and I'm playing bass and I'm just like, get me off this fucking stage as fast as possible. You know, hey Chad, let's play this song twice as fast. You know, anything we could do just to get out of here sooner would be great, you know. And I think back honestly, guys, and this is something I probably never told anybody, not even Chad. If I would have been open with the band about how I was feeling early on, right? If I'd have told Chad before the bigger gigs, or, you know, they knew I was having issues when we went to Dave Fortman's, because I did not want to stay in Louisiana. I wanted to get home. Like, I wanted Chad to drive me back to Mississippi. I had a really hard time being out of my comfort zone. But if I would have been open with them about why I was feeling it and not tried to like be Mr. Cool, you know, and be like, no, I just need to get back to Mississippi, you know, because like, you know, I got things I got to do, you know, or whatever, like always some excuse. If I would have just been honest and said, Chad, the reason I want to go back is because I'm having some weird feelings, like my hands are numb and this and that, I probably would have sparked something in either Chad, Nathan, Dave, Kenny, somebody that was in that circle, and they would have said, you know, I think you're suffering from anxiety. Probably could have seen doctors earlier, and, you know, gotten the help I needed to pursue. It just didn't happen. Like, I just made a mistake, you know, like I just decided I could deal with it myself, which probably wasn't the best idea, but eventually is exactly what ended up happening. So I don't know.
No, it's totally understandable, man. Like, I've been there, like in that point of just like, the more, it's almost more like you start feeling that way, so you abandon something or you avoid something. Like for me, it was work. Yeah. It was the bands that I was in. It was like those sort of things. And like, the more you feed it, the more you find, before you know it, you've been laying on your couch for a week. Yeah. You haven't talked to anybody. You haven't, but you can't explain to anybody what's wrong with you. Yeah. And if they say, oh, well, you're just depressed, well, just be happy. Put on some calm, relaxing music or something, like all the, and I'm sure you could say how many dumb things people have suggested to you over the years on how to get over this. It's like, no, it's a psychiatric issue that a lot of people deal with. Yeah. Yeah. It's a real, it can be a big struggle. I think the way I broke out of it, though, I will share this because this is more important than what was wrong, is how it got fixed. Is that, I was just kind of living a life. I was with this girl for like 7 years or something, and she left me. I don't blame her. You know, I mean, I look back, I'm just this guy that like doesn't do anything. I don't even know why she was with me to begin with. And I was just, wow, we'll keep this PG-13. I don't know why, but she left, you know. So here I am. We're all laughing. We all get it. Well, so here I am, like sitting in this house by myself. You know what I mean? Like, she's gone. She left me on Christmas Eve of all fucking days, you know? So I'm like, I remember asking her, the last thing I ever said to her, I haven't spoken to her since, really. I was like, what, do you want these presents I bought you? Like, she got really mad, slammed the door, and took off. You know, so here I am like, okay, so I'm like officially dumped on Christmas Eve. Sitting here feeling sorry for myself. You know, I've been with this chick for like almost 8 years at the time. And out of nowhere, and I hadn't talked to Dave in so long, the phone rang. It was Dave Fortman, right? And he was like, what's up, man? And I was like, what's up? And he's like, I don't know. I was just thinking about you. So I thought I'd call. And here I am, like, sitting in this chair thinking, like, okay, I got two options in life, you know. One of them is to pick myself up, and the other one is to not do it at all anymore, you know. And Dave calls me, like, out of the blue, you know. And he's like, you're real heavy on my mind and this and that. And I'm like, really? And I thought it was very strange that he called at that exact moment, because I just sat down and was like, okay, do we keep going with this bullshit? You know, like, here I am, been agoraphobic for almost 9 years at the time. You know, this chick just left me. I'm stuck in this house. I'm like, what am I going to do? I can pay bills for maybe another 2 years at best, and then I'm going to become a burden. Like, what do I do? You know, because I was just a normal guy at that point. I was not anything. I mean, Atomship was gone, and as far as that went, I believe Nathan had passed away at that point. Yep. And I was just like done. I was done. I'll be honest with you. And I decided, and this is a real story. This is going to come across as kind of like, I don't know. Some people may find it ridiculous, but like, it's my reality. I remember I went in the backyard. I sat on this swing. I had an outdoor swing, and I was just fucking. And I'll be real. I'm not a beta male, but I was crying my fucking eyes out. Right? I was just done. Like, it was just at my lowest point ever. And I remember I said, and I'll be real, when I wrote the Atomship album and all this, I was
about as atheist as they come. Like, I was a complete, like, that's bullshit. There ain't nothing outside of space and time in the end. And I just was at a point where I remember I was sitting there just fucking dying inside. And I said, God, whatever it is, bro, I'm sorry I ignored you. Right? I know this is weird, but I said, help me. I need your help. I legit need your help right now, or I'm not going to make it out of this. And I remember this feeling like, I can't really understand it to this day or explain it. I didn't hear it. It was just in me. I don't know if that makes any sense. And it said, I'll empty your cup. And I had no idea what that meant. That's just what came to me. And I said, okay, whatever that fucking means. Right. And then one by one, everything in my life started falling apart. Like, it felt like it got worse. Right. And I was like, and that was such an impactful moment that I remembered hearing, I'll empty your cup over and over. And then I realized that was like my cup being emptied, right?
Yeah.
I realized that everything falling apart was exactly, what was to come. And I mean, a lot of bad things. My grandmother passed away. My grandfather passed away. Like, it was just terrible. Like, the whole world fell apart even more. And I got to a point where I was humbled and broken down to just Derek, right? Like, I was back to like that start, and I was able to say, okay, I got to do something, And then from that moment forward, I was just able to slowly but surely build and expand and, work as a normal human and just kind of like get out there and do stuff. And it was always something to me that was like super impactful. And to be completely honest, I still work with my anxiety to this day. I don't think it's something that ever truly goes away all the way. It's just something that you gain control over, like people that say, well, I always feel anxious, I'll never be better. And it's like, even when you're better, you will feel anxious. And I think that's something that people don't realize. It's like, if you have an anxious mind, right, you will always feel anxious. It's not the anxiety. Everybody's anxiety is the same. It's your response to it. If you change your response, you change your anxiety, you change your life. And I think that, getting into why I left and this whole story and why it's fucking 20 minutes long right now. I told you it's going to be a bad edit for you guys.
Dude, you're fine, man. This is all gold. I mean, so far, like, there's not really a whole lot we need to edit out unless there's something. Okay. Unless there's something specifically that you're like, yeah, don't leave that in there. But
well, I think I heard Chad fart earlier, but I'm kidding.
We're actually going to make that louder. And slow
down. We're going to turn that up. Yeah. But no, I just, that was the whole thing. I went through a really hard time. I didn't realize why I was going through it. I said, you know what? I said, I just stepped away from everything. I made a huge mistake, super depressed, got into this rut. The whole world fell apart. And then I said, hey, I can rebuild myself however I want from here. And that put me in a position to where I am now, I guess. And music never went away. I worked with bands like Together Tomorrow. They would have been great, but they had their own problems, like they had a record deal lined up with Wind Up, the same label that we were on. And like, we did a lot of pre-pro for them. I just did a lot of production work. I worked with Dave Fortman on some things and like stayed in music as much as possible because it was a passion. But at the same time, I realized I had to work on me. I had to work on like my negativity and different things like that. But I'm so far disconnected from the person that we've been talking about today that even when I look back, it's like strange. I'm like, how was that me? You know what I mean? Like, how did I just stay in a house for 8 years and like was afraid to walk around the block? Like, how was that the same person? So I definitely know people out there struggling, and that's something I've always been a big advocate for. Once it was made public that anxiety was the reason I left the band, guys, I couldn't even tell you how many people wrote to me and were like, look, I struggle with the same thing, like, can you tell anything to help me? I really look up to you guys. And I felt like I was in a position to help, but not like I couldn't help. I was like, I don't know. I haven't left my house in 8 years. If I answered you right now, I would be an idiot, because if I tell you what I do, you're going to be worse off. I promise. So once I got better, I really started like reaching out. These fans will still write me and they'll be like, my daughter deals with anxiety now or something. It's all different, and I'll be able to help them in some way or another. And that's something I'm really passionate about, but I don't think I'm going to be a psychiatrist or anything. I didn't graduate high school. So it's something that I think that people deal with every day. I think a lot of people hide it. And if I had to give anyone with anxiety, like, advice or anything, is be proud of you, no matter what the fuck it is. Be proud of yourself. Like, like, my name's Dan and I have fucking panic attacks, but that makes me Dan. I mean, that's the end of it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what made me me. I mean, if it weren't for my anxiety, we wouldn't have the Crash of 47. that was all written out of that mindset, you know. So good things can come out of hard times for sure, you know. And just be proud of you. That's it. Now we're getting into the emotional thing. Chad, be proud of yourself.
So, Chad, how does it feel to still be the greatest drummer in the fucking world?
Right?
Asking for a friend.
I can't really relate.
You know what's Chad is so good he doesn't realize he's good. I mean, that's the truth, man. Like he just Chad. What drummers do you look up to? Neil Peart, right? Akira?
No, the top level would be Bobby Jarzambek.
Okay. Akira Jimbo?
I don't know if you're familiar with him, but dude is a monster, absolute monster.
No, I don't know him. Do you know him?
Yep, you should check him out, dude. No, actually, don't check him out because then you'll be trying to hire him.
No, hire. Like I could afford to hire him.
I'm gonna sign you on to a $50K a year deal just to play drums for yeah.
But you're getting paid at the end of the year. We're gonna work all year long.
There it is.
No, Chad has never realized his talent, and it's probably one of the most frustrating things to me because he'll be like, check out. I remember he was really into. I mentioned it a second ago, but Akira Jimbo. Akira Jimbo is massively talented, absolutely phenomenal. Yes. Don't get me wrong. And I'm sitting here listening to Akira Jimbo, and it's like Chad's like, you hear what he's doing, you know? And I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, Chad, you do this like every day in your boxers. Like, what do we do? What are we listening to? Like, impress me, Chad. Like, show me something that impresses me as a listener to drums. You know, I can't play drums at all, but like, impress me. Like, show me something that's better than you. And he never has. I don't give a shit what he says. He never
doesn't exist. I've looked.
It seriously doesn't, man. Like this is for real. This is real life. Like I'll have like because I talk to a lot. Like people are always recommending me bands to check out, you know, to talk about on the show and stuff. Like it's just constant. And of course, I don't have time to check out like most of them. Yeah. But they'll be like, listen to the drummer on this. This is the craziest drummer, craziest, fastest drummer I've ever heard. And I always respond with a video of Mothra.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is it faster than that? Because if it isn't, I don't, you know.
Danny Carey?
Yeah, from Tool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Danny's got. Didn't he come watch you play? No, wait, though. Was that who came watch you play, or was that Josh Freeze?
That was Josh Freeze, and when we were at NRG. Yeah, so, he was amazed at the Alien track. He didn't believe I did the end of it, but Dave Fortman was like, "Oh yeah, we haven't even mixed it yet." Yeah,
so here's Josh Freeze, supposed to be like, and Josh Freeze in his own right is a phenomenal drummer. Nobody could take it away from him. Here he is, and where was that was Energy Studios in California.
Yep. LA,
he's coming in. He's saying, Chad didn't play that. That's a dub. Chad didn't play that. That's not real. You know, and it's like, yeah, he kind of did. And
it's very real.
And he could do it half asleep. Like, I mean, it's just crazy. Like, and that's what we ran into all the time. People thinking Chad was like an anomaly, which he is. But I mean, like they wouldn't believe that he did what he did. And I mean, it was very common. It wasn't just Josh Freeze. I'm sure there were other people that were like, I hate these overdubs. A lot,
yeah. People would come to the show, and after we'd get done playing, I'd go to the merch booth, and people would be like, dude, you know, I couldn't believe you could play this part and that part at the same time. But now that I've seen it, holy cow. I mean, you know, I've heard that.
Well, we used to just joke that he had 3 legs and 4 arms. I think was our kind of our joke when we were listening to those songs. Because even like some of the slower songs, it's still one of those. Like I'm like, was he bored? Like what was the deal here? You know, was he listening to a different song? But it all works. I mean,
I wish y'all could have been flies on the wall when it came to like reining Chad in for Withered. You know, like
oh god, yeah.
Like Chad was like, you should.
I want to hear the unhinged version.
Oh man, there's got to be videos somewhere of us in Balance Studios doing Withered, and I remember looking through the glass, and Chad was like, had his eyes closed. He just looked so bored. He looked like I was like, and he was just like, you know, playing the part to Withered, and he was super excited about his hi-hat part because he really didn't have anything else to be excited about. And I remember being like, ugh. The whole thing with Withered wasn't even going to be on the album. I wrote Withered when I was 13 years old. It was a scrub track that I never looked at. We never looked at it as a band. Not a single time did we ever play it together, ever. And we were at Mose Dito's studio, which was another failure of a demo we tried to make. Right. And I was sitting on the front porch. Where was that? That was LaRue, Mississippi or something. What was the name of the place? I don't even remember.
No, it's just north of here. Just very north of here.
I don't even. Yeah, it was a blur, but I remember it was in an attic. It was fucking hot as shit, and he fed us tomato sandwiches. And I thought, I am at somebody's grandmother's house right now, and I'm burning up, right? And I remember I was sitting on the front porch, and Kenny came up there to hear how everything was going. He was our manager, if we haven't covered that already, Kenny Vest, and amazing guy, still to this day, good friend and a cool guy. But I remember he came onto the porch, and I was playing Withered. And I don't know why I was playing it. He was, I think he asked me. I mean, I'm trying to remember.
We needed a radio. We needed like a radio song.
Yeah, he was like, well, he wanted a
whipped
ballad.
It out. He was like, that's it, right there.
Yeah, he wanted a ballad, and I said, I think I've only written one ballad. If this is a ballad, and he's like, play it for me. So I played Withered, and he was like, track it, and that was that's the whole story, you know. Huh. So I'm like, do you want me to track this, you know? Because here we are. I think our lineup at the time was Dave Days, Pencil Fight, Whitfield, friends, yeah, like this was our demo, and then they were like, and do Withered, and I was like, okay.
And look, Kenny only heard one verse and one chorus, and he was completely enamored with that song. That's all he had to hear, one verse.
Yeah,
one chorus.
I didn't have a bridge, if you remember. I didn't have a bridge at all.
I know. Yeah, we basically wrote it on the spot.
We wrote it with Dave, I think, is where the bridge came to life when we went to Balance.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's same as the bridge for Dave Days. I wrote it in Balance. Dave was like, come up with a bridge. And I did. Like just right there. He goes, that's perfect. You know. And I don't know if people have heard that song we called Engineer. It was a weird thing we did on the demo. It was like this weird like outro thing. And the lyric was like, we don't see the engineers or something, or we only see the engineers when the trains are crashing or something. It was weird. And we
you never see the engineers when the trains are passing, but you always see them when the trains are crashing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like no one pays attention unless it's bad. Yeah. So it was really a cool, but that was supposed to be a bridge, and we ended up not using it, and we kept it as like an end thing, or it was supposed to be an outro, I think, or something. I don't remember. Dave was trying to get us to write all kinds of shit, and I was like, we're done writing. Yeah, we're in a studio. We don't need to write, you know. But we did. We still had a lot of work to do. But Dave did our original demo that got shopped, and I was more than impressed with our demo. I mean, I wanted to show that to everybody. Like, I sent copies to the president. No, I just like everybody. I wanted everybody to hear it, and because he did such a good job. And finally, I felt like we were captured. You know, we had been through Mosdito, and we had been through like recording ourselves, which is a terrible freaking idea. And then like, you know, all this stuff. And finally we're with this like class A producer, and he brings this to life, and he like really captures like what we're doing. And we sent it out. Kenny Vest sent out the demo to every label at the time. And we were one of the only bands that he had heard of. Dennis Ryder said the same thing. He was our entertainment attorney. Every label that we sent it to came back with an offer. Every single one. Wow. So like we had Interscope, you know, we had Universal, we had like Lava Records, you know, Island Records, like, and Wind Up, and all these record labels. Every single one of them gave us an offer. I wanted to go with Interscope personally because
Roadrunner.
Yeah, or Griffin Records too. I wanted to go with somebody that was more connected to like the rock grunge scene at the time. You know, Griffin gave us an offer, and I thought, oh, Nirvana, you know, and then Interscope gave us an offer, and I thought, oh, you know, this is perfect. This is everything we need. And then Kenny was like, we're going to go with Wind Up. And I was like, who in the hell is Wind Up? Like, I've never even heard of these people, you know?
You ever heard of a band called Creed?
Yeah. You ever heard of a band called Creed, buddy? So here, I look up Wind Up Records, and they're an indie, quote unquote, which they weren't. That was the biggest tax scam I ever saw in my life. But they were an indie label that signed Christian artists, right?
Yeah.
What is this? Oh, that's Nathan and Chad. Chad, your connection is so good. That is a painting of Nathan. But we ended up we like,
that's the man right there.
Yeah, that's the myth, the man, the legend. We ended up signing with Wind Up, and when I searched like online who they were, and it said like Christian indie rock label, and I thought, oh my God. You know,
okay, like, what have we gotten into?
Yeah, as earlier discussed, I was kind of an atheist at the time, and was like, "What?" And then And then I was like, Creed, and in my mind, I'm thinking, I fucking hate Creed. Like, I don't want to silence him. You know what I mean? Like, what? I don't want anything to do with this. And then, I don't know. You know who I liked more than Creed? This is funny. Remember Days of the New?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, they were way better than Creed. What happened there? It was like Days of the New came out, and then Creed, like, stole their sound, kind of made it real stupid, and then took over. But Days of the New was, like, the shit when I was young. I was like, anyway, I think the singer ended up on meth or something. So,
the entire band quit, started a band called Tantric, found a guy that sounds exactly like the first guy, and then they put out 2 records. The whole band quits again.
Really?
So you have 2 dormant bands that have this one... You have 2 dormant bands that have 1 lead singer, and the band has quit twice.
Golly, they should know how to pick them.
We could go 2 hours on Days of the New. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Days of the New, man.
A lot to talk about.
Yeah, they were great, man. When they came out, like, I was just like, what?
Where's the Atomship version of Dust or Shadow?
Yeah,
Touch, Peel, and Stained, whatever that's called.
Yeah. I remember loving, was it Shelf in the Room? Is that one of the Days of the New? Am I right? No. Am I right? Yeah? Okay. I remember loving that song and being like, holy shit, what is this? It's acoustic and rocky. And at the time, it was like so edgy, And now
Derek,
it's like,
I'm gonna need you to record that. I owe you $1.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, but it's just like, I just was like floored. I was like, man. But then, when we got signed with the same level, the same label anyway, as Creed, I was kind of disappointed. I was like, I'll take less money from Interscope just to not be signed with Creed, but it kind of worked out in a way that 12 Stones was a band that we had been doing a lot of shows with. They were with Wind Up, and then it was just kind of like the family thing, I guess. And they offered the most money. I think is when it came down to Kenny's decision, they were offering the largest deal, and we decided. And then I was disappointed to find out we had gotten a smaller deal than 12 Stones.
Well, of course, right? But 12 Stones wasn't a bunch of atheists, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, we were legit. Let me mute this. Sorry, I should have already done that. We were definitely like the oddballs out. Like, we on that label, which, I mean, even like later in the years, like finding out that like Amy, they weren't a Christian band, and 12 Stones doesn't necessarily think they're a Christian band. Like, even Paul would be like, I don't know what that was about. And what it ended up being, and that label is completely gone. We're not going to prison. Alan actually passed away, which is funny. You could see Alan playing poker with like Daniel Negreanu and all these people on Poker After Dark. If you ever look up Alan Meltzer, Poker After Dark, like, here is the guy that owned our label playing poker. Like, it was the weirdest thing in my mind. You can find the videos everywhere. But anyway, they were like a scam because they got tax write-offs for being a Christian label. And they hit enough money to stay indie, even though they had like major releases. There was no way that their income was indie. And I just was like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever been involved in my life. The industry's strange. But when we first met Alan and Diana, bro, oh my God. You can ask Chad about this. I think it was at Kenny's wedding. Kenny was getting married. And I remember Alan Meltzer, they had like a vodka fountain. And you could like hold your little glass under there and get your little martini and their olives you get out. Well, here's Alan Meltzer's fat ass, right? And I'm not skinny by any means, but here he is. And when I say fat, I mean this dude was fucked. Looked like the penguin that ate the penguin. Like, he was huge, right? Here he is at this fountain, right? No one else thinks this is funny but me. I'm going to prison. But here he is at this fountain, and God rest his soul. I'm sure he was a nice person to someone. He was like digging the olives out with his little fat hands, right? And just shoveling them in his mouth. And I remember Nathan and I walked up. He was like, yo, come over here. Come here. And then Chad came over. He's like, yo, let me talk to you for a second. Real super New York. About 4 foot tall, about 500 pounds. And he was like, let me tell you guys something. I was just so straight. It's so straight. He goes, once you sign my label, and he's like shoveling. Just imagine this. This dude shoveling olives in his mouth, chewing them. They're falling out. He's got vodka running down his chin. I mean, just total slob. And he goes, once you sign my label, the world is your ashtray. And he's like shoveling this stuff in. He's reaching in this fountain. And on the other side's this nice prim and proper lady, like getting her martini, looking over. And here's this guy worth more money than God at the time, just shoveling his hand in there. I remember just being so like, what in the hell is going on here? Like, there was a song I released called Elevator Go Down under the Yoon album that was actually about that whole thing, like about that wedding. And that's out there somewhere. I think Tome, a guy I had sing it, Tome Wheeler, was on that, but I'll find it. I'll send it to you. But the whole thing was just so like, and then here comes Diana, the nicest, weirdest lady. She's like in purple and green, like total New York, like fashionado type lady, you know, like hip. And she like, dude, she would always like move when she was talking, like she was dancing to 60s music, and just was so strange to me coming from South Mississippi. Like, who are these characters that I'm meeting? Like, these people are absolute characters. And she'd be like, "What you sign? What you sign?" Like all the time. Like I had to tell her a million. Like my sign is Cancer. Oh, I knew you was a Cancer. I could see from the other side of the room. You's a Cancer.
Before.
Yeah, like I mean, it was just so weird, and I was just so like, oh man, that was probably the start of my anxiety right there. I mean, it was just so like, I was just like so like. These people aren't real. These are actors, right? Like it just felt so surreal. And Nathan's cracking up. He thinks it's hilarious because he's like, 12 years, 13 years older than me. And here I am like, they're going to eat me. Like these are the people that you hear about. They're going to sell me into sex slavery and eat me or something.
They signed bands just to sell them into human trafficking. Right?
Exactly. Oh, it was so scary to me. Like those people were creepy. But at the end of the day, the label was great. Just gonna lie right now and say
they wrote checks. They wrote the checks, right?
They wrote checks, and then we had Greg. Was it Greg Wattenberg? Oh, that guy.
Yeah, he was the one that ended it.
Well, I mean, I might have ended it. Greg, because Chad, you know this story. Greg calls me up one Saturday afternoon, real excited to talk to me, fake ass, and he goes, "Hey, man, it's good to hear from you. You sound great." And like all I said was hello, so I know he's full of shit like right away. And he goes, "What do you think about writing some pop music?" And I was like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna send you some stuff. This band I got signed, Third Eye Blind. What do you think about writing something like this?" And I'm like, "I've heard of Third Eye Blind. I can't write like that." And he was like, "Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. You're a great writer. You just write like that, He's like, "Look, just do this." And then like his whole tone changed. Like he just turned into the demon, Like there was a movie with Keanu Reeves where he went to New York. Y'all remember this movie? And like you remember the name of it?
We're talking about Constantine, right?
No. He went to New York. This was like in the 90s. And like everyone there were demons. And then there was the speech at the end. My mother loves the movie. I don't love it as much, but I'll figure it out. But
I vaguely remember that movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie. It was
Devil's Advocate.
Devil's Advocate. There you go.
There it is. Yeah.
Very, very. Ask Chad.
Al Pacino.
Yeah, that is the music industry to a T. It's just they don't show the demon faces all the time. But yeah, like legit, like I remember all of a sudden Greg just changed. His tone changed. He was irritated with me because I said no twice or something. He wasn't used to hearing no. And he was just like, "I'll tell you what, man. You're going to write fucking pop music or you're not going to have a record label. Do you understand?" And my response to him, disconnected, like depressed and anxious guy, was, "Fuck you, man." Like, how about that? I said, "Write your own fucking pop music, you stupid fuck." And I hung up on him, right? And you don't do that to Greg Wattenberg. Next thing I know, Kenny's calling me. And Kenny's like, "What happened on the phone with Greg?"
Now, what did you say?
Yeah. I said, "Well, he was a dick, and I told him to fuck himself." And he's like, "You told Greg Wattenberg?" Because Greg at the time, just to clarify, he was the head of A&R at Wattenberg.
That's what I quit too.
Yeah, and it was just like, dude, it was so fucking stupid. But then, Joey was more than willing to do something, right? Joey wanted to hang on to the, I guess, the record deal or whatever. Yeah. So that's when they took the riffs that Nathan had written for the Atomship album, and it started to become Paper Cut Massacre. And I don't remember that guy in Atlanta. Do you remember his name, Chad, that y'all worked with?
Rick Beato.
Yeah. Oh, was it Rick Beato? I watched him on YouTube. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't remember it was Rick. So Rick Beato made the riffs that were supposed to be Atomship into Paper Cut Massacre, and then I didn't write anything for that. Like all my vocals were scrubbed because they knew that I was like, "Y'all are stupid," like it was just a big unfolding at the end, but it was set up wrong. I mean, to be completely honest, it had a bad foundation from the start. I mean, I'm not speaking down on anybody. I think that we did the best we could considering the situation, but there was just a bad foundation to Atomship, replacing me and then like trying to find a bassist and then, try to keep it all together. And then but with Chad and Nathan and I, we stayed level headed because we were there from the trenches, right? Like we had legit gone through the paces and played the little shows and the shit venues with 8 people, and we're sold out at Hugo's Pizza in Gulfport, like these like stupid little shows. Like we got our lumps, and then Joey and Roy came in and they were like, they just didn't get it. They were like, we kings, we're the best band. Like they just big heads and stuff. And I know Joey's recently passed away. I won't speak illy, on anything he did, but I feel like when they came in, they were like they were starstruck with themselves, if that makes any sense, And then so, Roy, I still love Roy to this day. He had a severe drinking problem and just went off the end, like went off the deep end. He's like playing shows with a house arrest anklet on at some point later, like just like, whoa, what's going on with you guys? Like they just coming apart at the seams. And I think that there was a time where Joey really showed what I'm talking about now was when he ended up kicking Nathan out of the band. And I thought,
a founding member out of the band.
Yeah. And
now, granted, I've done that before, but anyway,
sure.
Neither here nor there.
But at the level that we were at, like with the label and everything, and we were actually in the process of writing like basically the second Atomship album, Joey realizes that the label, I feel, and like I said, with him being passed away, I'm just going to tell you what I thought and what I felt. I can't speak for him, but I feel like he felt like it was a threat. He got so sick and tired of people yelling to him on stage, Derek's better and all this stuff. Like he really took his lumps. I'm not gonna lie. He had a lot of people that were like, you're garbage. Poor guy. I mean, and here he is in front of people chanting my name, like, you know what I mean, at shows. And I heard all the stories. Chad's told me about stuff too. And it had to be hard on him, but he felt that was such a threat, I think, that if he didn't dismantle the original machine that created Atomship, that he was going to always be the karaoke singer that people called him. Right? He was always going to end up being this, like, I just sing what Derek writes and that's all I'll ever be. And nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants to be that. So I don't blame him. It just sucks that I had to be involved in it, to be honest, because the second album was coming along like phenomenally. And the riffs you hear in Paper Cut Massacre, they were the riffs that Nathan was coming together with for the Atomship album we were working on, but they were just different. Like they were heavier. The timing was different. We had like different timings and stuff, and we were stoked about what was coming out. And the only thing that we were allowed to release with Atomship Down was the stuff that didn't make the cut, for Paper Cut Massacre. So that felt like a boot on the neck, like, yeah, you wrote all this great stuff and Joey's going to run off with it, kick Nate out and make Paper Cut Massacre. And here I am just, we're just all sitting there with our dicks in our hands, basically being like, okay, that sounds good to me. Wind up, so.
Yeah.
That was basically the pinnacle of what I'm talking about with the mentalities. And go ahead, Chad. You could definitely chime in on this one.
Well, I was going to say, Rick actually wrote quite a few of the riffs that ended up for Paper Cut. A lot of the really radio friendly stuff. Mm-hmm. And Bob Marlette actually had a little bit of input on that album as well.
Who played drums on that album, Chad? Years later, I'll ask you. Did you play drums on the album?
I mean, once Greg did what he did to me and told me that I couldn't, write with you and Nathan, even though it wasn't affecting what I was doing with the band, that's when I stepped away. And as soon as I did, then I just lost track of it. I don't even know who re-recorded my drum tracks, because I had already done 13 tracks, but then to make sure that I was cut out of any of the, the royalties and stuff, then they just re-recorded it.
Yeah. And it all came down to like, they didn't want, so when I had the fight with Greg, and then it came down to Joey kind of, pulling the trigger on removing founding members and trying to weaken that structure. Yeah, I mean, they just didn't want us involved at all. They wanted to take what was built from Atomship and turn it into what Greg Wattenberg wanted, a more poppy.
Greg knew that he could not push me and Nathan around. He knew it. We were like, you weren't there from the beginning. So, and we've heard your band and you weren't really that good. So, yeah.
Yes. We've heard your music, Greg, and you're kind of trash. So stop telling us what to do.
And what year was this? This was like 05?
06.
Yeah, 06, 07, yeah.
And it's like the type of thing that could happen back then.
Yeah.
When the industry was at the height of its I guess, dominance.
Yeah.
You know, because like you think about it, you look at a band like Atomship, right? You guys have probably heard of them, right?
Yeah, once or twice.
They become, you know, over the years, this almost like cult band. You know, at least that's the way Joe and I view it. You know,
very much so. Yeah, agree.
And it becomes a band's band, right? It becomes a band's band, right? Like you go and see bands, and then they find out who you are, and then they're like, "Oh, well, dude, I love that record." You know, everybody that's a musician checks out that record, and then you've got some slob that's like, well, you know, I think you guys should tone this down. Yeah. And I think that your song structures, your melodies are a little weird. You know, like it just blows my mind seeing that happen, even as late as 2006. Because like now, you put a record out now, it's all your call. Record labels, whatever capacity they exist now, are just happy that you're like, you know, not asking for more money.
Yeah, I think, you know, it was really funny. Working with Dave Fortman was probably the best thing that ever happened to us as a band, ever. Because, and I'll still give that guy credit. I'm still friends with him, and it's not like, I'm not trying to like suck him or anything. I'm just saying that this guy really has the ability as a producer to sit down with a band. And you know, there was a big thing with him and Slipknot about production. I don't know if y'all remember, there was a big story that came out. If you search Dave Fortman Slipknot, there was a big fight because they felt like he was trying to change them or whatever. And I was
before Iowa, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
I was so taken back by that because that is not Dave at all. Like I knew from the moment I read that they were lying or something was lying. Something was wrong in the mix because Dave legit is the complete opposite of that. That guy has this uncanny ability to look at you as a band, as an individual band, and say, let's capture this, right? Now, if something sucks, Dave's going to say, look, this is kind of weak. But when Dave points something out, I 100% of the time always agreed with the guy, right? Now, I might be a special case because, I mean, I just remember Dave saying stuff and being like, holy shit, you're right. Like, if we go to this instead of this, that's way better, you know? And Dave has always been the kind of producer that I would always want to work with. If I ever did music again on a level that I needed that type of production, Dave, I would tell Dave, look, you either do this or it ain't being done. Like Rick Beato's great. He did good work on Paper Cut. Like all this stuff's good. Sorry if you hear the train. They're bringing me my stuff. But like,
I got to run out for a minute. Hold on.
You know, like Chris Lord Alge is a great producer. You know, he's very like kind of a mainstream rock producer. But there's something about Dave Fortman to me that is just like his ability is unmatched. I do not hear his production ability in any other producer that I listen to. And I've listened to a lot. I'm pretty well versed. I'm critical. I know what Chris Lord Alge's Tom sounds like compared to his brother, Tom Lord Alge. Like, I know I'm like in it. Like, so when I listen to Dave and listen to his production, I'm just like, holy shit. So when I heard Slipknot come out and say, oh, Dave's ruining our record, I'm thinking, no, motherfuckers, I don't know y'all, but y'all are ruining your record, because the reality is that there's no way that, you know, the Butcher of Orleans is ruining your fucking album. Like, it's just like, that dude is a G, you know? So I don't know what happened between them, but on the record, I mean, just like, I don't even know where I started. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have no clue where we started this, but
no, you're good.
You know, he like, Dave is legit like the best. So I don't know. Rick Beato's good too, though. I mean, I do like Rick Beato's production, and I like his YouTube channel too. So I've been trying to talk Dave into doing that, by the way.
He wouldn't even let me play any toms. Sorry. Don't like it.
Well, he wouldn't let you play Tom. Well, I didn't know about this.
Nope.
Yeah. Rick Beato wouldn't let you play toms?
Yeah. Double thumbs down.
Oh, man. You ought to write it. Listen, Chad, go to his YouTube page.
He's a smart guy, but, you know, he definitely does not know drums to the level that he thinks he does.
Well, he has this thing like, what makes this song great on YouTube?
Well, yeah,
you're muted. You're muted, Joe. What'd you say?
Need I remind you, this is Chad Kent from Atomship.
Yeah. Yeah. But, Chad, you should go on his YouTube and write him and say, remember when you wouldn't let me play toms? What makes that song great? You douche.
I did once or twice, and he never responded. So.
Of course not.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the whole thing is, I think Rick captures good sounds, but again, maybe he's one of those producers that like has a vision, and he wants that vision captured. And Dave, to me, was a producer that was like, let's capture your vision, and that combined with his talent is just unmatched.
Dave, yes. Rick, no. Dave, yes. Rick,
no. Exactly. But
so once you're off Wind Up,
yeah.
Is that why there was a distinction between it going from just being Atomship to being Atomship Down?
I think we lacked originality. Like, okay, so the what I mean is in band names. Originally, the original name of the band. A lot of people don't know this too. Y'all are getting the juice on your show for sure. The original name of the band was In Memory of Nine, and I'll get to the distinction. I promise. I know I'm long-winded. The reason we named it In Memory of Nine is because our first storage unit was number 9 and it had a leak and they moved us to 12. So we named the band In Memory of 9, the storage unit. So then we ended up with Watership Down. To me, I watched the movie when I was young and it freaked me the hell out, bro. Like as a kid, I was like, like what? They're killing each other. Like it was
weird disturbing. Yeah.
I'm used to cartoons just being funny. The coyote always gets blown up, but he doesn't die. And then all of a sudden, I watched Watership Down and I'm like, so we were trying to think of a band name and we ended up not going with In Memory of 9. We ended up going with Watership Down and we loved it. And then what happened, the reason Atomship even came around as a name was because they had the Schultz Foundation or whatever had bought the musical rights to the name Watership Down because they were going to do a Broadway show, or they were trying to produce a Broadway show. So they needed the musical rights. So we were told, unfortunately, hey, you can't have this name. And that really sucked. I'm going to be honest. That really hit me in the gut because that was like our identity. Like I will always view the band as Watership Down. Atomship we were given like a list of names, I think, and no one was happy with any of them. So we decided to like make up a name like quick on the spot. I had nothing to do with it. I'll be honest. This is Chad.
When we were in LA, we tried for weeks. We ran dozens of different attempts of names through the system, that tells you if they're taken or not. And eventually we're like, Richard Adams, Atom. But you know what? Science, ATOM, and we'll keep the ship. So Atomship. Yeah, there it is.
It still sounds sci-fi. Yeah,
weird. It still sounds sci-fi. And a lot of people, I mean, for you guys, you probably heard, pour some tea, but you guys probably heard, like the name Atomship. That's all you've ever known. And to you, the band is Atomship. I mean, you've learned about Watership Down at some point, obviously, because we could talk about it. Right. But it was like, to me, the name Atomship was so disconnected from what we were. Like it was always so weird to me. It was like, okay, so they renamed the band. Weird. I was like, why? And it's because we couldn't get the rights. We would have been sued if we used it, And so then we leave Wind Up, and we're like, what do we do to maintain our, because let's say we just change the name again. All right, let's say we're not Atomship anymore. We're going to change the name. We know we can't use Atomship because like Greg Wattenberg will have a stroke, So like, what name are we going to use, And we're like, well, we were Watership Down. Let's go back to that. But then we knew those musical rights were done, and we were in enough of the spotlight to know that would just get us in trouble, right? So we said, well, let's just use Atomship Down. I mean, that was it. There was almost no thought process whatsoever. And in my opinion, like, if you're asking me whether or not that was a good idea, I'd say no. I don't like the name at all. I've never liked the name Atomship. I mean, I've just never liked the name. Like, I like the band. Clearly, the drummer's cool. And I think the writers were good, but the name Atomship to me was just like, what is this? Like, who is this? So it was just weird. But yeah, we got away from Wind Up. We went with Atomship Down, working with Nathan, and then that's when Nathan started kind of going downhill, and then everything it was just bad.
Yeah, I was going to ask originally. I had in my original notes. I actually wrote down interview questions for this, which I don't always use them, but that was one of my questions. Was just like whatever happened with Atomship Down after kind of the demise of Atomship and the relationship with the label. But I feel like it's kind of self-explanatory at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point. So I had a studio at the time. I built a studio. I had a cool. I don't remember I actually bought one of Tom Petty's old recording consoles. It was a Trident. I bought it off his estate when I was like, cool. And then I recorded Learning to Fly on it and just used it. But I just wanted to hear if it sounded the same, and it did. So I thought that was rad. But what ended up happening was you know, after, and I'll just be straight. I mean, I got to shoot it straight. That's who I am. After Joey kicked Nathan out, Nathan didn't take it so well emotionally, and he got extremely depressed and extremely like, I don't know. He was very, yeah, there it is. He was very, I don't know, man. He just wasn't Nathan anymore. He was so depressed and so insecure and like about his play.
Right out of him, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he lived it. He was a rock star before we were ever even signed in his mind. And, you know, it just, it killed him.
Yeah, he went from being Nathan to being a guy I don't know. I'll be honest with you. It was really strange. And he was just so proud of his accomplishments, and like all he ever wanted to do was play music. His dad was a musician. His father had passed away. He used his dad's guitar on a tour and everything. Like this guy just lived and breathed music, so that when Joey decided, yo, you're out, you know, and Nathan goes to the label like, can you believe this guy? And the label's like, yep, you're out. You know, it really took the wind out of his sails. And, you know, he ended up hanging with some people that I didn't know. I mean, these are people that I guess he knew from work or somewhere. And he and Chad and I are still getting together. We're still writing, you know, we're still putting music together and trying to get something together that we could go to Dave with and just kind of release demo quality cool music, you know, like it wasn't going to be overproduced record label album, but it was going to be stuff just as good as the Watership Down demo, if not better at that point, because David improved as a producer. And man, it just, and
that's
like
when Greg came out and told me I couldn't play with you guys anymore, and I was like, you know what, I'm out.
Yeah, that's when Greg got a hold of Chad and was like, you can't play with Nathan and Derek anymore. And Chad was like, well,
okay, Mom.
Yeah, Dad, listen, I'm going to do what I want.
High school bullshit, and I don't think so.
But he thought there was a conflict of interest between Chad playing with us and then doing the Paper Cut Massacre stuff at the time.
It was because, I mean, Joey threw a fit about it, and I hated that he did because, you know, I tried to reason with him that, look, man, I mean, I can do both, I promise, but I have to have a creative outlet because they're literally tying one arm behind my back and one leg behind my back, you know. I can't play anything.
Yeah, and Chad felt like Paper Cut Massacre. I think, Chad, I can't speak for you. Interrupt me if I'm wrong, but it was kind of like a day job. Like he went in there and it was just sleeping behind the drums. Like every track was withered, you know.
Yeah, it depressed me actually.
Yeah. So we got together and we were creating cool ass shit, and then like, you know, Nathan's just declining. Like his mentality and everything is just like slowly declining. And I remember I asked him one night because he went in the bathroom or something. We thought he was using some drugs or something, you know. And like, here's the thing: we're not into drugs. I mean, you might listen to the album and think, "Damn, these dudes are on some psychedelics." No way, bro. I couldn't even smoke weed. I'd have a panic attack, right? Like, I can't. I know Chad smoked some weed, but we weren't into drugs. We weren't taking psychedelics. We weren't smoking weed to write. We weren't doing anything. I mean, I was about as straight edge as you could get. And I remember, and Nathan was too, you know, Nathan didn't really smoke weed that much either. It made him paranoid, you know, like nothing. So we were kind of the losers, you know, when it came to the music industry. But I remember Nathan, I was just like, what's going on, man? You all right? And he was like, yeah. And he kind of like fell asleep one night, like sitting in a chair playing his guitar. And I remember being like, nah, dude, something's going on. And he was like, no, I just took a Xanax, and he was drinking Heineken like constantly, which kind of was out of his, that's kind of out of character. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I got in so much trouble, and this irritates me to this day. I called Marlene, right? And maybe I shouldn't have, maybe I should have. What ended up happening is some stuff came up missing, right, from the studio. And I said, this motherfucker, I called him on camera. So I called Marlene. I said, Mar, listen, I do not want to get Nathan in trouble. He's like my brother, but something's going on. Like something's going on bad. Like I think he's using some pretty heavy drugs, and this is something that we need to approach, you know, as a group and this and that. And she got furious with me, right? And I remember her like screaming at me about it. And I thought, I'm trying to help him, you know? And she's like, you're going to put him in jail and this and that. And I was like, I'm not going to put him in jail. And so I'm reaching out to you. So she didn't want to hear me. So then I called Kenny, and Kenny was like, nah, Kenny just thought I was starting shit, right? Kenny, honestly, that was the one time that Kenny and I were not on the same page. He thought I was just stirring up shit because I was unhappy about the Paper Cut Massacre thing and being cut. Like I was trying to badmouth people, and he was all about kind of like the PR, you know, like, don't say that. What are you talking about? And there's nothing wrong, you know? And like, I knew Nathan like a brother. Chad knew Nathan like a brother. Chad and I had talks. We knew something was wrong. And I've tried reaching out and just got shit on basically Chad tried reaching out, and I think, his words were met with deaf ears as well. Kind of like, did Derek tell you to say this kind of mentality? And I remember just being like, man, how do we help somebody when nobody will fucking listen to us? When like we're legit people that have known this guy for years and years and years and created music, which is a whole nother level. Y'all know this. Once you create music with somebody, you develop the force, as we call it. And it's kind of like you're as close as family. And, we tried, everybody shit on us, didn't want anything to do with it. And that December, he died. He died in his bathroom, which is shit. And then, of course, because me being the asshole that tried to help him or whatever, I was banned from the funeral, which always will affect me. I thought that was stupid. And, it's just one of those deals that just went down real stupid. And I think the people like Marlene won't talk to me this day. I've seen her before. I've seen her like around town and stuff when I'm in Mississippi, and like she just hangs her head and walks past me. And it's like, I get it. Like, I think she has a lot of regret for not listening to me, and I don't hold any. What's
Look,
up,
man? I got to address this with you now because I know you've been carrying this for a long time, but I was at the funeral. I spoke. I was one of the 3 people that they wanted to speak, and from talking to everybody and family, the blame wasn't on you, brother. It wasn't. They held it with Joey for firing him, and that, and I'm not saying that was the fault, but I just want you to know, man, that don't carry that guilt anymore, because Joey was the one that they really thought was the killer for that.
Yeah. Well, I just always thought that they should have fucking listened to me. I think, I feel like if somebody would have they just thought I was starting shit. I'm be honest. And I was a shit starter. I mean, they had every reason to believe that. I mean, that was my mentality then as a kid. You can ask Chad. I mean, I was just a shit starter. I'd fake my own death twice a month just to freak out fans. I didn't care. I thought it was funny, and it was one of those deals that like, they just, when it was important, still Boy Who Cried Wolf. I think somebody should have told me that story when I was young, because by the time something important came around, everybody was just like, oh, you're just starting shit, and it was so frustrating for me. And then for him to die like that was just kind of like, what do you say? Because I told you so. I mean, you don't fucking say that. You know what I mean? You just end up in this situation where you're just muted. And you're like,
Nathan was a good man. I mean, it was nobody's fault. I mean, it's a tragedy, man.
Yeah, it's actually, it was probably one of the worst moments of my life, actually. Like, because it was like, at that point, I knew that what Watership Down or Atomship was as a total was gone. There was no more. Like, it would never be back unless we can resurrect the dead. It's gone as itself. So then that's where music starts really changing for me, and I think for Chad too. And it's like we just ended up in this weird spot where it was like, well, it's gone. When you have a tool to do a job, and then the tool is gone, you can't do the job. And, and we lost a friend and a brother, and it was just like everything all at once. It was so strange, and that was probably the first real loss outside of my father that I'd felt. I know shortly after that, my grandfather passed away. So that gets into that part. But I remember Nathan was kind of the first person that I was like, wait a minute, he's gone. Like, what's going on? And I called Kenny, and I'm not necessarily frantic or anything. No, actually, Kenny called me and he was like, are you joking around online or is this for real? Like, he thought I was kidding. Like, and I'm like, Kenny, I've grown up, for fuck's sakes. Quit seeing me as like a 14-year-old kid, starting shit. Like, I'm almost 20, Kenny, kind of mentality. But no, I just remember being like, no, this is legit. Like, he's died. Kenny's dead. And it was weird, man. I mean, no band should end like that. You know what I mean? No band should have to end like that. We could have, we honestly, if we could have helped Nathan, or if Nathan could have helped himself, we were set up. We had a studio in my backyard that Dave could have came into and recorded anything we wanted and produced anything we wanted. And we could have been like artistic and creative and kept it going. But, everything just kind of fell silent on that.
Dude, it's always been you and me, though, since the beginning. Yeah. It's always been us. And we're still here,
I mean, as it turns out, yeah. I mean, if you look at Chad and I, yeah, exactly. If you look at Chad and I in music, right? We started with just Chad, I, and Jay, right? Which Jay was like an original guitarist guy. And then we played with my brother. My brother played guitar with us for a while. And then we got in with the Nathan thing and played with him. Yeah, Steve Warren. We played with all these other musicians, and the core of it was always Chad and I. And I remember everything just comes out sounding like Watership Down, like everything. Like it's what we write. You know, it's like it pains me. Like you say, yeah, I've, followed your solo stuff. It is so hard for me to break away from, like, I'll write a riff and I'll be like, this is great. And then I'm like, this sounds like Atomship, or this sounds like Watership Down, or you know what I mean? Like, I cannot, like, it's just, that's what comes out of me. Like, that's it. That's what I write. And then Chad is such an amazing compliment to that with his ability and his skill, that when you put those two things together, just the two elements, and Nathan came in as kind of like, the sprinkles on top is how I would always view Nathan. Like, Chad and I would bring the core together, and then Nathan would come in with sprinkles. Is that a good? That's a terrible analogy, but
no, that's actually about right, man.
Yeah. So
somebody's ready for dessert.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime Chad and I get together, because when I was living in a place called Gulf Hills here, and I had a studio, and we had gotten together a few times there. And that's when we wrote, like, we played a show, Chad. Shit, I forgot about that. We ended up playing a couple shows. We played, we played Zeppelins, and we were working with Brooks Hubbard, right?
Yep, Juke Joint, and Firefly,
Firefly, Juke Joint, Zeppelins. We played some local bars, and like people were stoked. The Firefly was like the Nathan's.
That was just you and me.
That was just CNI for Nathan's anniversary.
Nathan, that's right. That was an ode to Nathan.
Yeah, and we just played the whole album acoustically. Chad was on a kit playing everything, but playing it softer. And I played guitar and sang, and it was really cool. People liked it. But the stuff we did with Brooks Hubbard's a phenomenal musician, by the way. He's on tour right now, or he was before COVID, whatever. But
back when everybody was on tour,
back before COVID. But he even with him as an influence with us, like we had a song called Cigarette. We had a bunch of other tracks. I think we ended up writing like 10 tracks together. If you listen to those tracks today and no one told you that it wasn't Watership Down, right? You would be like, okay, this is Watership Down. Like everything just sounds like Watership Down. Like it's just so, that's kind of like the truth is this. Here's the absolute truth when it comes to Watership Down. As long as Chad and I are alive, it can be done. And that's honest to God's truth. Even if it's just Chad and I, because we can channel enough Nathan, and I can play guitar well enough to say, all right, Nathan would have done this, or let's lag this a little. Let's do an upstroke here. Let's drop into a 4/4 here while we stay on like a 7/8 or something. Like we know what we were doing. We were around it enough to say we can make this work, And vocally, I'm still there. I mean, I'm still tracking stuff that's heavy. Like I haven't lost any of that, thankfully. Chad's talent's still there, which is fantastic, So I think that as long as we're still breathing, right, there's always going to be that chance of that kind of like that Watership Down that sound anyway, coming back to life. Now, whether I'd say honestly, and I'll be real with you guys, if I were to work on music ever again on a serious level, it would be with Chad. And it would be under the name Watership Down, and I just wouldn't give a shit if we got in trouble. I wouldn't give a shit if people cared. Oh, we own the musical rights. I'd say, well, then fucking sue me. Like, I just don't care. Like
you just throw the number 4 in for the A and be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. What is it, like 12% or something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't have to be perfect. So as a fan, what do you think the percentage of that actually happening would be? Not putting you on the spot, but absolutely doing that.
I mean, okay, so personally, I think we were both, I won't speak for Chad. I'll just speak for me. Sorry. Personally, I would be 100% down to do it. Logistically, that's where the percentages would have to come in. I don't know. Go ahead. Oh, Chad says 10%.
No.
I know. I'm messing with you. So 100%.
His connection's so slow, it looks like 100%. Like,
yeah. Sorry. So, no, it's good. It's good, Chad. I'm telling you, bro, you can get DSL these days. It's 2021. You don't have to stay on dial-up.
DSL.
I'm hooked up through the wireless, I promise.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, it's cool. No, you're fine. It's fine. Just let us know if someone needs to make a call. We'll know that we'll take a break. I think that personally, I'm 100% down to do it. And I think that Chad and I have we didn't grow apart, so to speak. I think there was probably a time when we were just kind of like, I was a dick I'll be honest. I mean, I was just kind of like working. I wasn't looking at music as an outlet, and I was just kind of like trying to find something. Yeah, because here's a guy dropped out of school, became a musician, and then stayed a musician for nobody was in the game, just the game, in my opinion, longer than me, because Chad had a real job for money, which was cool. I mean, people think you get signed and you're rich or whatever. No, it's like welcome to the bottom. You're nothing. You know. I mean, when we got signed, we got a pretty good check, and I bought a 2-door Honda Accord. That's how rich I was. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, hell yeah, a Honda Accord and can pay my bills for 5 years. That's what I'm talking about.
Seat slides all the way forward.
Yeah. Look, this one would be heated if it wasn't broken. Like it's like that kind of thing. So, and then dude, Katrina sucked too, because I'd spent a lot of my money building this amazing studio and stuff. We'll get back to your question. Sorry, Dan. Fuck, I'm ADD as shit.
You're good.
Anyway. 100% chance that I would do it personally, and 100% chance that we could pull it off without a doubt. And then I would say logistically, there's better than an 80% chance that we could pull it off. I would say. I just don't know logistically from here being put on the spot how exactly between Houston and here how we would go about it, because the way Chad and I work, we have to be in the room together. There is no, I mean, I could write riffs and give them to Chad and he could track little things and this and that, but you're not going to get the full evolution that brings a song to life, doing this remote shit with each other. Like, we would legit have to sit down and say, okay, this is a riff idea I have. Yeah, just grind it out, like we used to say, find the force again, grind it out. And here's look, I'll do this. I'll do kind of a promise, and Chad has to agree, so I can't promise alone. This is a group promise. What month is it? Does anybody know what month it is?
Jesus Christ! It's still March of 2020, right?
Oh yeah,
March of 2021. Okay,
well, there we go. March, yeah, good guess. I mean, I'm sitting at a computer that says 3/22/21 right there. I probably could have figured it out.
I'm blind as hell. I couldn't have read it anyway.
Yeah, I just got my first pair of glasses, man. It's awesome. I can actually see individual leaves. So I think that by the only thing that's going to be weird for me with this is that come August, I think I'm going to be kind of slammed, but I think Chad and I are going to work together on this cannabis thing, because Chad wants to be involved to help, and I surely can use like a smart brain like Chad. And really, guys, I'm a musician at heart, but like, this is taking over my life. I mean, I've got lobbyists and legislators and attorneys. And I mean, it's just like, we got investors, investing in us. And like, it's all kinds of stuff. Like, Bailey Fair is my attorney, and the dude's an absolute genius business attorney with our firm. And it's just, I feel like a nerd. Like, I just feel like an old man every day. I wake up and I'm like, so Bailey, what's the update on HB 115 legislation? Like, and it's really draining, but time consuming as well. So
did he respond with a guitar? Just say, Derek, it's all right.
You hired me to take care of this stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, you pay to retain us. Let me handle it. I go, I can't trust you, Bailey. Never. So it's one of those things. It's like and then like, it's strange too, like, because we're on the board of advisors for the 3MA, which is the Mississippi Medical Marijuana Association, and like, I do work with that. Try to keep up with Ken Newberger as much as possible, who kind of spearheaded the Initiative 65 in the state. And like, so not to get too much into that, but that takes a lot of my time. But I can tell you this, by the end of this year, because of this interview, you guys have a big reason to pat yourselves on the back. If by the end of this year, Chad and I don't have 5 tracks somewhere, right, I would be super surprised. I owe you $1. Yeah.
There it is.
And we'll make the whole demo $1 to buy it, and then your IOU is paid. But because I feel like I'm spending a lot of time in Mississippi right now, I'm not in Houston a lot, and all I do is kind of like either work or play Warzone. I mean, it's really kind of boring, Like, I've been working.
I relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's I'm either working or it's like, let's see if somebody can trash me with an AUG today and make me go, why don't they nerf the AUG?
They definitely can. Yeah.
Yeah, nerf the AUG. But it's one of those deals where I think that by the end, Chad, do you agree or disagree? Chime in here.
Oh, I'm on board.
There you go. You guys did it. You brought your band back together.
Hey, we're trying.
You should be proud of yourselves. Yeah, we can get at least 5 tracks out, I think. I mean, I've already got like enough material I think that Chad can sift through and say, this is garbage, let's get together, you know. We'll be able to do that. But we should, and look, Dave is living right here in Florida. So what's really funny about this is he's doing nothing. And he'll even admit, because of COVID, I don't know if he's doing nothing. That's kind of harsh. I think he is doing some pre-pro stuff, but he's not in a studio anywhere. Like, no one's doing anything. But he set his room up based on my room in Gulf Hills. So he owes me one. Like, he came in and measured everything. He was like, this room sounds phenomenal, you know? I was like, Dave, you owe me one? You're going to mix 5 tracks for us. And then he'll be like, deal. He'll probably come over here and record it, Chad, to be honest. We'll set up this bad boy right here. Let's see. How do I change? Let me edit this avatar. I want to show you all something. This is funny. But go ahead. This is just me.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. I mean, I just didn't want there to be too much quiet time.
Oh, no, you're fine. He can cut all that out.
Oh,
he does all the work.
I can't edit my avatar because I'm not signed. I can only do it once, I guess. Oh, it's weird.
You should be able to.
Yeah, let me try this again. Edit avatar. Then click this plus button, and it doesn't do anything. It hates me. Yeah, I don't know.
Avatar.
Yeah, mine's saying you'll have to log in or sign up.
There's a share screen button at the bottom. Try that.
A share screen button. Let me see.
Yeah, you should be able to just share an image on your desktop or whatever that way.
Can I? Oh, wait, I just found stuff. What is this? Codes, how would it hurt? Erase Dixie. So, no, I was just going to show off this console I had, but I look like an idiot in the picture. So I was the first person. I'm going to brag a little bit, if you don't mind, because I did this without music money. I did this working my ass off for Walmart doing contract irrigation. I had a company that did contract irrigation, and I was the first person in the United States to buy an Audient ASP 4860, and I still have that console, and the thing is sick. So I was just bragging.
Badass, sorry. Man.
It's kind of nerdy.
Just badass.
Yeah. You don't have to pump it up. It's not that cool.
I was about to point behind me and be like, look, dude, if you guys need a studio, just, stop by. But I don't think you want to haul that console all the way up here.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I almost sold the thing. I had a guy offer me $15K for it. And I was like,
that's it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
Dan, I'm going to need $16K.
Dan, I need $16K to buy
buddy, let me just pull up the podcast bank account and I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
Best I could do is $30. What do you got?
So I think honestly though, back to what we were saying, Chad and I could, and I would love to, at least put out a 5-track demo from the rest of this some point of this year.
And I'm there.
It'll probably be at your house right there that we can write, because I don't know, unless you want to get a storage unit.
I bet you can get number 9.
Yep. Yeah, maybe we can go back and get storage unit 9.
It's a big room.
Yeah, that would work. I mean, it's all we need. All we need is a small room. How big was the storage unit, Chad? 8 by 12? How big was our storage unit? Our storage unit, 8 by 12? We could never afford the 12 by 18s.
About the size of my desk.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
They were small, man. They were super small. But yeah, I think even if we had to just do something, Chad, where because I have the ability to record here, maybe that's what we do, Chad. I mean, fuck, dude. Y'all can cut this out because it's boring, but maybe let's just Atomship talk about some logistics real quick. Maybe, Chad, you could just, I don't know if you want to bring that kit or a kit, but once we get to a point where we can track, we can bring it here. I'll probably get Dave to come here and we could just dry track everything. He could take it back to balance and make it real.
Sure. I'll bring whatever you want me to.
We can get our stems here. I'll be like, Dave, ready for a challenge? We're going to record in a house that was built in 1909.
I mean, if it'll fit, I'll drag the big kit for sure.
This is bonus round.
Yeah, it'll fit. I got a ton of room here. I got a massive room I got a room about half the size of Gulf Hills. So it's big
okay.
enough.
Well, then we're good to go. I'll cram it in there.
Chad, remember we saw that ghost in Gulf Hills? I know you remember.
Dude. Yeah, and then Alicia saw the same one too.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Please tell me there's a song written called "The Ghost of Gulf Hills."
No, but there will. You know what? Honestly, I'm gonna hold on.
Opening track. Yeah.
How do I not forget this?
Goosebumps.
Hold on. I'm gonna make a little noise. I'm gonna grab. Wait a minute. I'm on a computer. Fuck. Sorry, man. I'm trying to write something down. I'm gonna make a notepad on my desktop right now. If I remember how. New notepad. Text. Oh, rich tech document. Let's get rich with it. All right, look, and I'm gonna type. I'm gonna name it
the start of something big right here.
Yeah, The Ghost of Gulf Hills. All right, I like that name because it reminds me of the Butcher of Orleans too. I'm gonna save that. Save.
That'll be track 2.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So I got it. Yeah, the Butcher of Orleans. That's Dave. Yeah, well, they'll just all be like the things, like the Ghost of Gulf Hills, the Butcher. No, but I'll name like the title track, the Ghost of Gulf Hills, just to prove to you that I was serious when we sat here.
There you go.
Did this. But no,
I need proof, but I want proof.
Yeah, I don't need proof, but I want proof.
We will hold you to it.
We'll get it done. I mean, I've been writing a ton anyway, and I've been working with like Jennifer Flint from Roscoe Bandana. I think I mentioned that last night.
Yeah.
And she's great. She's actually doing an album with a girl, Fifi Dobson. Y'all remember that chick out of Canada? She was like a rock pop chick out of Canada. She did well. I mean, from what I could tell, her YouTube videos all had like 5 million views or something like that. But she's working with her, and I was writing with them, trying to write rock music for a chick rock band. And the drummer for Cake is in with them too, I guess. I don't know. Something was going on. And then I was like, yeah, I'll write some tracks, but I don't know. I'd rather do Watership Down. Yeah, I know Chad needs to write. Chad just got beat up online by a girl the other day. It was funny.
Oh, yeah?
No, she thought she did, but
Yeah, well, yeah. Chad, tell us again how you punched a girl.
Yes.
No,
we're gonna put this in the beginning. Yeah.
So Chad, I love him. Believe it or not, women like Chad, right? And
I have no trouble believing that.
None at all. Talented, good looking. He's in shape.
Looks like a cop.
Yeah. Looks like he used to. Yeah. Looks like, but Chad gets himself in trouble sometimes. It's not his fault. Yeah. Not his fault. I commend him for it. I got myself in plenty of trouble. Chad never got hit by a car. I did that.
Whoa. Yeah, I did 2010 on my bicycle.
Yeah, but it wasn't like this chick that was mad at you slamming into you in your front yard.
Oh, no.
Remember that? Jesus.
Yeah, now I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
That's a hilarious story. I don't know if y'all need that kind of content though. But anyway, dude, this chick, I wouldn't answer the phone because she was like, we're fighting or whatever, right? And I was like, I'm not answering the phone. I'll just fight with you stupid, gorgeous bitch, And she fucking comes flying in my yard in her car. I'm sitting on my swing out front. This quintessential like southerner, like oak tree with a swing in it, drinking iced tea. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, it's good to have land, All of a sudden, she comes flying in the yard, like at 50 miles an hour. She like jumps my bushes and everything and just like slams into me. I thought I was dead. Like the second I saw her like a foot from me, I was like, well, that was a good life. We're done. She slammed into me, knocked me back into the azaleas. How much southern can this get? So I was drinking my tea on my swing in my front yard, and a girl hit me so hard with her motorized carriage, I flew back into the azaleas.
I did not court her anymore.
Yeah. And no longer was she courted by me. But no, seriously, she fucking hit the shit out of me. And my knees all busted up as hell, and I'm like dead, basically on the ground. She gets out of the car. Oh my God, I tried to stop. Like nobody's believing this. Like that was full throttle. I know how cars work. That's acceleration, I heard, not brakes, And like, so I'm like getting up and I'm like, oh shit, I'm like pretty sure I'm coughing up blood. I don't know yet. And her daughter gets out of the car and I'm thinking, what? You just did this with your daughter in the car? Her daughter's all upset. I love her daughter to death, still to this day. I will forever hate her and always love her daughter. And like, she like her daughter. So here I am like trying to stand up straight and act like, no, I'm good. We're good.
Was that
nothing wrong.
That
was fucking Marissa's stupid ass, man.
Oh.
So I just didn't want to drop no names because somebody's gonna see this because I'm gonna post about this and people are gonna watch it and then they're gonna be like, oh my God, I still talk to her. I send this to her. But
I'm sending this to her right now.
Yeah,
and you're
exactly.
gonna be like, I'm tied up in some litigation right now.
Yeah. So we were gonna write the album, but I'm getting sued for slander. But I didn't say her last name, so it could have been Marissa anybody. Her last name is McGillicuddy. I just made that up. So see, we're good. And like, so here I am, like, and I remember she left. My knee just swelled up like as big as my head. Had to get drained like 3 times. That's true love, right? When somebody hits you with a car, that's funny. Now now I'm blessed. Your man is blessed. I'm not gonna lie. The girl I'm with now is an anesthesiologist. She is not just an anesthesiologist, but she is like a phenomenal anesthesiologist. Like I'm always proud of her. Like we always get along. She's always fantastic. And it's really been good for me because the little remnants of my anxiety, the like health anxiety that were left behind, I'll be like, is this cancer on my arm? And she'll be like, you're a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know? And I'm like, just checking, you know, so that's a plus. But no, she's phenomenal, you know, and like I had to go through it. I had to go through like a ton of bad to find somebody that I think I'll probably be with like for at least another 50 years before I die. And just like, you know, but Chad, on the other hand, boy, this guy, he just, there ain't a girl he can't get, and he proves it. with how, yeah. Well, I didn't say you could keep them, so you could get them. It's different. I'm just kidding. It's hard to look at everybody's laughing. It's hard to keep one girl that you like, Chad, when you're dating 20 of them. Jesus Christ. Look at the Hugh Hefner of drums right here. I don't blame him. He just takes them to the house. He's like, watch this, baby. He gets drum a little bit, you know, and then all of a sudden they're naked. Like,
check it out. This one's called Aliens.
Yeah. Check it out. This one's called Take Your Pants Off.
Oh man. Then we came back to reality.
Yeah.
Who was the guy that played the flute and led the mice out of town? What was that guy's name?
Pied Piper.
Pied Piper, yeah.
Yeah. That's Chad on drums, but he leads the clothes off a body.
Oh my.
Dude, that's funny.
Well,
that reminds me. I don't know. Okay. That reminds me of a funny story. We played a show as Liquid Core at Biloxi. I don't remember where we were. And this lady comes up to me and she's like, Chad, I know you remember this. This old lady. Let me set the scene. Y'all gonna love this. Y'all talking, y'all like, this Derek is insane. No wonder he writes good music. I'm like 14, 13, and we play this show with like Liquid Core. Chad's drumming, Jay's playing guitar, I'm playing guitar and singing. We had no bassist. Real edgy, ahead of our time. And this lady comes up to me and she's like, you want me to suck your dick? And my response was, I'm 13 years old. This lady was like 40 something years old, bro. And Jay was like, what did you say? You know, Jay was the like very obvious older brother type, dude, get your dick sucked. You know, like, what are you talking about? You know, like real good influence. And he's like, wait, did you tell you were 13? I was like, yeah, I did. 13 years old. What am I supposed to say? Like, I'm a virgin. I'm playing music, and this old lady's trying to put parts of my body in her mouth. I didn't know what to think, bro. That shit was always hilarious to me, though. Like, everybody thinks it should embarrass me or whatever, but I'm sitting back here going, no, like, I was legit the 13-year-old kid that denied a 46-year-old lady. I think that's pretty cool. Like, I see that as a win, you know?
Like, I'm very flattered, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm flattered you want to do that. So if y'all, let's get back to music. I'm sorry. This is going like...
Oh, you're good, man.
This is going ridiculously strange, but people will definitely know us. What question? Ask me anything. Ask Chad something.
Joe, you got any more questions? I know we're hitting it like 2 hours at this point, and
I mean, Derek has told the story that covers almost every question I could have written before we started this talk.
Oh, dude, he knocked out all my questions in the first 15 minutes. It was awesome.
I'm good at what I do, guys. I'm good at what I do. I'm just kidding. You're like, but it's better if we fucking ask and you tell us, you fucking dick. Don't you know how this works? It's like, I ask.
Hell no, dude. This is the best night off ever. Like, I'm going to listen to Derek Pardoe.
Dude, I've had a horrible migraine.
One of my favorite vocalists just tell me everything I need to know.
Yeah.
I've had a horrible migraine all day, so like this could not have been any more chill for me. So
I didn't make that any better. I'm sorry.
No. No, I think this Motrin did most of the work. Oh,
I got you. If y'all have any questions about something specific that I didn't answer for Chad or anything, go ahead. I mean, I talk a lot, bro. That's kind of my thing. Vocalists are supposed to be vocal.
I mean, I don't even care anymore. You guys are coming back with like a commitment here, so
yeah, Chad, we got to figure this out, bro.
We did our job. You're gonna be all like, we got to record this because Dan and Joe will be disappointed.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that I think have just given up on us. You know what I mean? They're like, you're not going to record anything ever again with Chad, are you? And I'm like, yeah, I will. And they're like, no, you won't. And I'm like, yeah, I will. You know, so this is a chance for us to get together. Look at this future musician coming in.
I thought I heard him walking around up here. This is Leo.
What's up, Leo? He can't
He's
hear
supposed
me.
He's supposed to be asleep.
Looks like he might have been asleep. He got up, huh?
He might have been for a couple minutes.
He's
and
like,
I think that's your secret ending cue right there.
Yeah,
could be.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is like the first time this ever happened. I think on
perfect timing. Y'all are around some mystical motherfuckers, right? I ain't gonna lie. We've had some weird lives. Weird things happen around us for sure. Honest to God.
We got
What's
spiritual
up?
here tonight.
Yeah, we
I
got
know,
a little
that's
spiritual. Good. And I do look forward to doing some stuff. I'll keep you guys updated on, where Chad and I are at. And I'll call Dave tomorrow, and I'll probably call Chad after we get off here. If you're not busy, Chad, you busy?
Nope.
He looks super busy.
He looks around. He's like, no. I wish I had a camera, but sorry. I do have a camera somewhere, but it's shit. Like, I would look worse than Chad with a good connection.
Mine's pretty bad. I mean,
mine
was like a $20 Amazon camera. So like, it's
yeah. The reason I sound good, I'm on the Blue Snowball USB mic on this, but I was going to be like, man, let me hook up this Neumann and just sound like an absolute G or my Mojave, and I was like, I don't have time. Like, I didn't think about it until it was like 7:45. So I said, nah. I said, we'll just run this.
I don't know, man. These Heil sound microphones they look cool and they sound good.
Yeah, you guys sound great. I was looking at those. One's blue, one's red. It's like the Power Rangers over here. Who makes them? Are these the one with the ad?
So Heil Sound, they're out of, where are they at, Joe? They're like 10 minutes away. We're in St. Louis.
Just over the river, dude. They're
just
local.
over the river. And these are actually the same microphones they used in the Hunger Game movies.
Really?
Yeah. We got ours for like a really ridiculous discount because apparently according to somebody, they have some sort of like physical defect, but I don't see that. So I guess like some of the spacing is not like perfect in here.
Maybe it's a different shade of blue than they originally wanted.
I don't know, but it works for me. And
it sounds great. Yeah, you guys sound good.
Yeah, Bob's known, especially now in the radio and the podcast world, because of the PR40. That's the one you've probably heard of and seen 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Dude, he's a genius and an engineer of... Dude, he's a genius of an engineer. I could do another hour and a half on Bob Heil. Dude's like, read books.
Yeah.
Figure out exactly what your ears do. Now you can learn how to mix a concert. Like,
yeah.
He's a ham radio enthusiast. I love the guy.
Yeah, I remember when I got into production, and I'm not that good. I'll be the first to admit I can make something sound like something, but I could probably name 3 tracks that I've ever recorded myself that I was happy with. And it takes a special person to do that. Like, special person. Like,
dude, I can name about 40 that you've done that I'm aware of. If you have time, I'll just go ahead and read the list.
Yeah, just go down the list, and I'll tell you which ones I like and don't for production value only.
Settle down. Let's just start there.
Settle down. Let me think. Settle down. Yeah, Settle Down was okay, I guess. I mean, it's 1 to 10. I give it a 4 on production, though. I heard that completely.
4 out of 7.
4 out of 40. Yeah, but Settle Down was fun. Lonely Edge Shifter was a lot of fun to do, and that's kind of tonight. I was actually going to do that. I'm going to upload tonight, Joe. I don't know if you stay up late, Dan. I don't know what y'all's schedule's like, but with a migraine, you might want to rest, Dan. Yeah, okay. But I'm gonna upload the stuff I did under Pedal Horse tonight. I finally got it. I found it all, and so I'm gonna put that on my Bandcamp. And you don't buy it. That's awkward. I'm not plugging you guys to buy it. Just you can listen to it for free on there as many times as you want.
We'll buy it, dude. Don't worry about it.
I was always so surprised, man. I was like, why are people buying this? All you gotta do is push play, and like you have it. It's there, So, but
I want it in the highest quality I can get it.
Well, that's what was funny is like I was listening to all of this came about, this whole interview and everything came about like over the weekend where Joe and I were supposed to be doing something productive. And what we ended up doing was talking about like, so Joe just sent me like, I don't know, probably like a terabyte of all the music that we recorded over the years, like since we were, teenagers in bands. And I'm listening to all these tracks and I'm enjoying them. And him and I had this like long conversation until like 2:30 in the morning about all the stuff that we've done. and all the weird band history stuff or whatever. He's like, oh, I'm gonna send you something really cool. He's like, this is some of the he's like, I have the original Watership Down demo, and I was like, yeah, I got that. He's like, no, you don't have it like I have it.
Because
he's
what
like,
you have was recorded off of MySpace like 15 years ago.
Yeah, like however I got they're just crappy like garbage MP3 versions of the songs.
Yeah.
And he's like I'll send it over to you. And I was like, where did you get this? Like in this good of quality? And he's like, dude, Derek's got a Bandcamp. Just go on there and get it. So I did. And then I just like, being a music fan, I'm just listening to it over and over and over and over again. And then I bought it. And then I posted something up on Twitter, Facebook, like, oh God, this is so cool. Like this version of Whitfield is like totally unhinged, like it's,
yeah,
I love it. And I'm going on and on about it. And I go back to the Bandcamp page and it just says contact. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to send a message out and see if dude wants to talk, because then at that point the podcaster in me woke up and was like, dude, why haven't you interviewed Derek before?
Yeah, you might as well reach out. All I can say is no.
Right? Yeah. I mean, half the message that I send out, I don't expect to get a response to. So
I mean, the thing that worked out well is typically I don't check email. Like I'm not a big email guy or anything. Like if you don't text me, like if you can't find my number somewhere and text me, it's hard to get a hold of me. But I've been keeping up with email more with starting up this business. Like that's how all the attorneys send us stuff. And I look and I'm like, what is this? This is about a podcast. I was like, and then what's funny is as I ended up searching my email after you sent it to me for the word podcast, because it was like buried under a bunch of legal documents that got sent or whatever. And I remember you mentioned, dude, I had like 12 emails from different podcasts in there over the past 6. I think podcasting is becoming like the thing with COVID being, shitting on shows. You get to have people in and, talk and stuff. But I'll definitely tell all 17 of our fans that we did this and try to get them over here, to have
totally. Well, and hopefully we'll get some new traffic, we'll link to the Bandcamp and all that stuff. And then they're going to listen to this interview and be like, yeah, you guys can expect, some music here by the end of the year.
Well, you know what? I might be able to get, like, if y'all are interested, I may be able to get Dave Foreman to do this. Like, and he's a rad producer. It'd be a good guest. I mean, it's kind of off the record, I guess, but like Dave would probably love to do this. And I mean, he's done some massive work. Like, maybe you get the scoop on the Simple Plan thing. Not Simple Plan. Not Simple Plan. Sorry, on the Slipknot thing.
I'd be like, let's talk about this Slipknot. Yeah, let's talk about this for a minute. Yeah, no, that'd be super cool. We'd be down to do that, but
absolutely.
But I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap up for tonight.
All right, sounds good, man.
Hey, Dan, let me grab bumpers before you outro everybody.
Oh, okay, all right.
Just because then you don't have to do it later.
No, you're good, buddy. Don't worry about it.
Chad, you first. You know why? Can you do a bumper for the opening of the show?
Yeah, what you want me to do?
You can say whatever you want. I'll write it for you. This is Chad Kent of Atomship and Watership Down, and we are about to discuss metal.
This is Chad Kent from Atomship and Watership Down, and we're about to discuss metal.
Sorry,
did I laugh up the floor again?
Did I laugh? Chad, Jesus Christ. This is me doing Chad. This is Chad Kent from Watership Down, and we're about to discuss metal.
That's right.
All right, Derek, it's your turn.
It sounded more like Phil Anselmo.
Wait, do I have to do the same thing?
You're a vocalist. Write it yourself. I'm not helping you.
I mean, I was just gonna say the same bumper.
Do it. I'm gonna mix it together or do something with it.
All right. Let me think how I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I'll just use the same thing. I don't know. So, see, this is the bad part. I'm a vocalist, so I'm like double thinking everything. I'll just say, hey, this is Derek Pardoe from Watership Down, Atomship, and we're about to discuss metal.
I'm perfect. Good. That's all I needed.
That was awesome. You wouldn't believe how many times people actually can't, like, it'll take 7-8 tries where they're all like, what is this stupid podcast called again? What did I just waste my whole night doing?
No, this wasn't
do I need to redo it, Derek? It was mine too cheap.
No, you're fine.
Now y'all are learning about the writing thing. I don't know, Chad. I mean, maybe just a little more guttural at the end. Discuss metal.
Yeah.
Throw some triplets in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it on your drum kit and then go, we're about to discuss metal, and then play a bunch of drums really loud.
He did do that.
Oh, did he?
He actually did that.
Oh. Well, damn.
Sorry, I'm just
when we did the talk a few years ago, he's like, "This is Chad Kent from Atomship on Discography Discussion." He's like, he shreds, and then he comes over. Did I say it right? And I'm like, yeah, dude, you did fine. You did fine. No, I messed up that fill. And he walks back over and does it again. Goes back. My neighbors are gonna hate me. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, that's Chad. That's Chad. Dude, that's one thing in the studio. I know we're trying to wrap it up. Chad would be like, that wasn't good. No, that's good, Chad. That was great. No, I don't know. No, Chad, that was phenomenal. We also worked with Jesse Duncan. Those songs were fucking sick too, man. I still have those.
Oh my gosh, I wish they would have been finished, dude. Jeez.
Dude, they are finished. I finished them. What do you mean? I finished them ages ago.
What? I've never heard of them.
There's a song called Hole in the Sky that is actually, I need to get that out because it was like the beast of all songs. It was kind of like, it was
Epic was pretty epic too.
Epic was good, and Orthotricycline was good.
Orthotricycline.
What a nice name. But
right.
No, Hole in the Sky was good, man. It was kind of like the Bohemian Rhapsody of Watership Down. It was weird. It was like just an epic track, and like the catch line was, I always thought the moon was just a hole in the sky where dreams escaped into the night. And it was just this sick, huge build. It was like nuts, dude. I need to get that out. I'll get that one.
You gotta give it to him.
Yeah, we'll get it out. I'm glad you guys kind of re-inspired us, and I hope that we weren't too annoying on your podcast.
No, you're great. This is awesome. Like I said, it was easy.
I'll put you guys down for next weekend. We'll just do this again.
Yeah. We'll just do this over and over. But
welcome to Watership Down, episode
podcast.
5.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back once we release our demos and people had a chance to listen to them. We'll come back and have a talk about it. That way you guys.
Let's do it.
We cut on that.
That'd be sweet.
Dan, you want to get us out of here since you're going to bed? It looks like.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, thank you so much for this was really cool. This is, like I said, I had all these questions, but I was kind of like, I was kind of like, oh, do I really want to ask that? Whenever you're in a situation where you've got band members that have passed away, you've got such a long history of a band, it's one of those like, oh, I don't know really if I want to ask that or if that's going to be this. And I really appreciate your guys' transparency on everything and it just being super chill.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And I also like the fact too that if somebody's getting into the band now, because that does happen, like people are still hearing that record for the first time, and because you could stream it, you can get it, wherever you need, and I really appreciate getting all those questions answered. And now if somebody's getting into the band, they want to hear, well, who is this band? Where did they come from? Whatever. Now they have that.
Yeah, in one place, in one easy to access place.
Exactly.
Well, I had a lot of fun, guys. I mean, you guys are rad. I appreciate you having us on here.
Yeah,
it means a lot.
Good talking to you guys again.
Yeah,
absolutely. Pick a band. We'll do a long form episode on discography discussion.